Welcome to Miss Smart Muses. Welcome to Miss Smart Muses, where you muse upon what makes me laugh, makes me cry, makes me happy, makes me sad, or just really ticks me off. Today, we're going to talk about something that probably brings up all those emotions, except it doesn't tick me off. The ending of Magician Master makes me very, very happy. And also, this is the celebration. It is no longer the penultimate book stream, it is the grand finale, and we are going out with a bang just in time for 4th of July. Joining me once again, as always, from a place similar to me, it is none other than Queen Rennie.
Good morning, Teresa. How are you and Lord Steaglesby today, if I can talk?
Yeah. Well, I suck because my kitchen is been looks like a nuclear bomb has gone off in it, and yeah, Steve had quite the little joke about that earlier. But yeah, it was my neighbor's fault though. So yay, and we got all the proof and all the insurance. They flooded, and there was some negligence there. And yay, it's gonna all be paid for, but it's not gonna be fun going through it. But besides that, I'm fine, and all the way from the
Well,
future.
it's actually a terrible thing for a woman though, because since the kitchen's messed up, she will feel useless.
Oh, Lordy.
Wow.
I think you need your disclaimer, Teresa.
Yeah, the views and the opinions of those on Miss Martin pieces do not necessarily reflect the views of Miss Martin. The main people, well, I'm just having, well, it just totally disrupted everything because I was supposed to be flying out. And I was going to even make a fancy video about first class on American Airlines because I was doing that for the first time in quite a while. So I was all ready, all packed, and the next thing you know, water. And it was bad. I cried a lot. And
That
now,
would just add more water though.
thank you, Steve. So to make a long story short, I'm getting a new kitchen. Yay!
Yay!
So if anyone
And it's taken care of, right? This isn't really coming out of your pocket. It's insured, right?
Oh, hell yes, it's insured. Yes, everyone.
Yeah. So
Make
that is
sure you have
awesome.
Yeah. Do not neglect your insurance, everybody. Do not. And it's not gonna and my insurance is gonna go after their insurance. So I've done everything right. We've got all the proof, called up everybody, so it's all taken care of. So if you wanna maybe shoot me some suggestions for kitchen renovation, I have determined though that red cabinets will probably be butt ugly. So as much as I love red, but something that will go well with red accessories, red appliances. Because
White and blue.
go with red.
Well, actually, you can do like I had a house, the first house I bought was the cabinets were like a white stained cabinet. So it was real wood, but they were like stained like a light white color. So it helped to brighten the kitchen because it had a skylight in it anyways. But you know, something like that would be neutral, or you can do like ebony cabinets. I think that would be really pretty too.
Okay, well, let's do that on Twitter. And are you just saying white and blue because you don't want me to have red?
He was trying to go patriotic for 4th of July, I think.
Oh, red, white, and blue.
Well, that's the Norwegian flag.
Oh, well, there's that too.
I don't give a shit about the U.S. flag. That flag can fuck itself.
Oh my god. Patriotism here on Miss Smart Muse as well. And actually, I should show my patriotism for Norway because my birthday, they celebrate it for me. So they have parades and everything on my birthday. But speaking which, all the way from the future, from Norway, and a very northern cold climate, even in summer it's cold, the one, the only, Steeg.
Hi.
Hi, how's the future?
Clammy. It's clammy in Norway now.
Oh, so kind of sweaty?
Yeah. Shit.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Nah.
No, I'm not. I don't care.
My hatred level is at 82%.
Oh, shoot.
No, that's fairly low on my end.
I was about ready to say. I mean, not bad. And y'all, of course,
quite the happy chappy.
Ah. So hatred level 82% with no air conditioning and no swimming pool.
No, we have ocean.
Yeah, but you don't want to swim in that ocean. That'll kill you.
Oh yeah.
I've seen Titanic.
No. Well, depends on when.
All right. Well, we got Corey Cochran here. Thank you for being here. And oh, there's me and Rennie saying hi to everyone. Good morning, everyone. It is Bone. We love our animals here at Miss Martin Muses. It's noon here, but good morning to you, Rennie. Yes. It's howdy. It's Tech 42. I mean 44. Sorry, I can't read. Everyone
42 was 2 years ago. Sorry.
Thank you, Steve. Meteor Advocate Timon. I almost called you Meteor Advocate Steve. Timon, hello, thank you. Yeah, we need that meteor faster, Timon. You're slacking. Hello, hello, hello. Everyone's saying hello to Timon. Timon says, I'll have to leave in 30 minutes. My nephew is taking the Boy Scout oath today. Oh, how sweet.
I've taken that oath.
Yeah?
Yeah. I was a Boy Scout when I was a kid.
Yeah. Oh, I know you were. I was thinking that a joke was coming. I'm sorry.
No, always prepared.
Aw, that's cute. And
Yeah,
Jacob Ironside.
even have a picture of myself in the uniform.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, well done. We endorse the Boy Scouts. Well, I don't know about the modern one actually, but it depends on where you are and what kind of a troop you have. But yeah, but things like the Boy Scouts are very good for people, you know. So did I, Steeg, says Timon. Yay, good for you all. All right, so yeah, Jacob's been with us all through all of this, all these books. So yeah, shout out to Jacob. We are finishing up Magician Master. Now, it goes without saying there will be spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoiled, what I would recommend doing is going and reading the book and then watch this on the replay. This will be put into a playlist. So, you know, I hope you enjoy it that way. But let's talk about some general impressions before we go into the situation. Rennie, what'd you think?
Oh, about the ending of this book.
Correct.
I just it's a lot to put into words. I think there were quite a few ways where, you know, there were some good like aw moments, and there were some moments where I want more information, or I feel like I need more explanation for things. So although I do feel like the story wrapped up fairly nicely, I want to know more about what's going on. I like to know all the deets. I need the deets. So I'm very eager to find those out. So I will probably continue reading just a little bit more at a slow pace down the road, but I will most likely continue on this series just to find out or to get some of my questions answered. Yay. And some things to explain that I feel just need a little bit more depth.
I hope the one question you have gets answered in the last book.
No.
That's not right.
No, I can tell you no, but I think it's several books in. And that's what's so good about this series. You could stop with Magician Master if you wanted to, or you can stop with the first trilogies in the darkness at I'm going to say it wrong. Sethanon?
Yeah, Sethanon.
I said it right, finally. And then loads of other trilogies, but they are more fun. And like I said, this doesn't mean the end of everything. It's just the end of our weekly streams. We will be every now and then doing reunions, but they'll be like one-off. So like perhaps we'll just come and do it with one book and we'll just discuss it all in general. So this will not be the end.
Imagine if Pug had been, instead of a magician, he'd been a fisherman. Then he'd be the master baiter.
Well, he would have been useless in the final battle.
Well, it depends. I mean, he could always use it as a distraction.
I've never seen anyone use a worm like that.
Oh my God.
So like while other people are closing the rift, Pug distracts like the armies?
Yeah, with his worm.
Wow.
And then he gets chummy with someone, literally like covered in chum.
Oh, Genie Max, Steve. Okay. All right. Well,
Sounds like a
It's
Danielle
like
Steele book.
Pug the seaman has arrived with his worm.
I just can't. I just
There
can't.
she
People are gonna
blows.
be coming in, you realize, and they're gonna be like, "What the hell is this?" And then they're gonna, you see,
I thought this was about a book.
I don't know. I got carried away in my head. I had thoughts.
I know you have thoughts, and they're very disturbing thoughts. But yeah, I think he's far better as a magician master than a master. Never
Of
mind.
fishing.
A master of fishing.
Yeah,
It would have been
it's like-
quite worthless. But we start off with the chapter's name is Upheaval. And because we're going to see all hell is going to break loose. So Pug is back. Yay! And they're like, well, guess what? Boric is here, but he is dying. So they bring Pug to him, and he's all, I'm so glad to see you. Look at you. You're alive. You have a wife and child. Yay. But the dude's dying. He's foaming at the mouth, literally, with blood and all sorts of awful stuff. And so he's like, he says to Pug, do you remember I promised you would get another gift? And Pug's like, yeah. And he goes, I left a sum of gold in trust for you against the day you became a master magician. With it, I would like you and Colgan and other magicians to establish a center for learning, and it's going to be called Hogwarts. No,
That would be amazing.
yeah. Well, to be fair, this book came out a good 15 years before Harry Potter. On the other hand, the idea of having a school for magic is not necessarily unique. But yes, they're going to have a school for magic, and says, will you build an academy for the study of magic and other knowledge? And he says, I'm giving you a place near Great Star Lake. It's going to be out on an island where they're going to have their magic school. And
Yeah, I
then
thought that was
Stardock,
awesome.
I think it's called.
correct, it will be called Stardock.
Just Luke's Jedi Academy ish.
Exactly.
Before Luke got an academy, Feist did it first.
I was going to say that's before the EU, right?
Correct.
yeah.
This
Yeah.
was 1982, I believe, or 84. I think it was 82. And then he says, and Pug. Oh wait, is he already dead? No, he's not dead yet. He says to Liam to speak for him. He says, tell him. And he goes, my father judged the only thing you lacked was a name, for none knew your parentage. So he ordered a document drawn up and sent to the Royal Archive, inscribing your name on the rolls of the family condoin, adopting you into our house. Yay! They're family!
That was so awesome.
Oops, wrong button. Yes. Because, no longer really Pug the orphan. So, and he says, bear our name with honor. I could be no more proud of you than were you my own son. So, yeah, this is just a series of happy endings. I believe in happy endings, so this is a good thing.
Yeah, until he dies.
well,
He's just going to have to not die.
yeah. Oh, are you talking about the Lord, the Duke, though?
Boric.
Boric.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I was like,
Like in
what?
4 more sentences,
Well, true, but happy endings for everybody else.
Well, it does other things too.
That is correct. And then he goes to the other Duke guy, witness my dying declaration. And he goes, care for all my sons, old friend. Let the truth be known. Oh, he looks at Colgan. And Liam, the son, is sitting there going, what does he mean, all my sons? And then he goes, your father acknowledges his eldest son, Martin. Dun, dun, dun. He goes, Martin is your brother. I have wronged him, Liam. He's a good man, and well do I love him. and he croaked out a single word, witness, and then he dies. Talk about dropping a bombshell at the last minute. Steek, what did you think about, on rereading this and maybe reading the first time if you have a memory? But this changes everything. And why the hell did he wait to the last minute?
Because he didn't think he was going to die. Because he got hit by a stray arrow in a skirmish, right?
Yeah, but like, why didn't he say it like 10 years ago, 20 years ago?
I don't know. 'Cause
Okay, fine. I mean, maybe he regretted it, or maybe he didn't intend. I'm thinking actually, maybe it could have been something he'd have left in his will. But I know that Martin was kind of ashamed of the fact, or was he more ashamed of the fact that his father didn't acknowledge it? I seem to remember something like that. I don't know.
Oh, you know what I'm going to do when I croak?
What?
Like right before I croak, I'm going to tell my family that I have an illegitimate son and he lives in the United States. Find him.
Just send him on a wild goose chase.
Yeah.
Nice.
They'll say flyer. Well, there would be a record of it, wouldn't there?
No.
Oh, okay, fine. All right. Well, now you know. So now his family knows that it'll be a prank. But I thought it was poignant, though, especially when he goes, well, have I loved him?
Yeah. It's just like, I agree with you. I think he didn't see himself, getting killed like that. And so he took for granted the time that he had. And I think he just kept waiting and waiting to say something. But unfortunately, he waited too long and he never got to make his peace with Martin in person. I just thought that was kind of sad.
Plus, Martin seemed happy with the life he had as a ranger, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
and Jacob has a good point here that Amos
really?
Basically figured it out before anyone else did. And he's the one that coaxed it out of Martin. It's like, dang, Amos is observant, dude.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Pirates know their stuff.
Yeah.
Amos has been almost MVP for quite a while.
Oh, yeah. Hell yes.
Yeah, he's a pretty cool dude.
Thank you, Kex. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. Yeah. And I also think that Boric didn't realize that the succession was going to change, too. Because it didn't seem as important to sort this stuff out, because it was his brother, I believe, is the king. I forget if it was his brother or his cousin, but he was that was the line of succession. He's over there being Duke of Crydee, and there's already someone in Krondor who is the heir to the king of Verlanon. So
but they know that Erland is dead now.
Oh, that's what I'm trying to say. Is like back in the day, it was like, well, it's not really such a big deal. Who cares? But everything changed with the death of the king and the death of Erland. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, shit. Now my issue is going to be heir to the throne. Because if Boric hadn't died, he would have become the king.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the king himself is not well.
Yeah. I mean, he was batshit crazy to begin with, but they always had Erland.
But, he had a moment of sanity before he died. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which made me wonder, was he also under a spell, or was it just he was just batshit crazy?
Well, no, because remember he got didn't he get hit in the head before he died? And so I think that kind of hit him in the part of the brain that was messing up or something. I don't know. That's what I tell myself. So I think it helped him get back to sanity.
Yeah.
There you go. So the cure of insanity is just to cleave someone's head into.
Yeah. It's true though. It's true. If someone's being stupid, you hit them in the head. till they
Well, I
stop
mean,
being stupid.
back in the day, they used to do lobotomies, right? I mean, maybe there's
Yeah.
something to that.
Yeah. So if someone says something stupid, you can hit them. That's what I learned from this book. You beat the stupid out of them.
I'm not even going to comment on that. Jacob says that hit to the head knocked some sense into him.
It's true. I
Literally.
really feel like it. Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree.
That's not until the next chapter, though.
It isn't. Oh, never mind. It doesn't matter.
Or
Oopsies.
maybe it is. Oh shit! I don't know. It's been quite a while.
No, I
since-
think he died in the last. Oh fudge! I don't know where they died. That it doesn't matter. We can break all sorts of rules today because it's the final one.
That's right.
Yeah, hello everyone that's popping in. Always great to see you, Blair to Blair. We got Dempsey, we have Vex, and I always tell people if you're not familiar, since I am a Rose, obviously, so if I show you like this, yay, that's me waving at you because I can't wave.
Oh,
Yeah,
I just want to give a
I can wave,
special.
you just won't see it.
Yeah,
That's right.
If she waves, she's gonna knock over the coffee. So
I already had it happen once.
Can I give a special shout out to Vex and Brian,
Mhm.
two of my Mr. Brown Alliance peeps? So just want to say hi to you guys and thank you for coming.
Yay! Well, thank you. Yeah, well, yeah. I didn't. I'm sorry. I guess I didn't realize that Vex was from Mr. Brown Alliance. I've been seeing her around.
Yeah, she's really awesome and sweet. I like
Aw.
her.
imagine
Yeah.
if you own a brothel, you can have like a sign on the doors that says "Thank you for coming."
Well, there's only 2 chicks in this group so far that are like regulars, so that might not fare so well for both of us unless it's the guys doing all the work. Okay.
Oh dear.
You know what also would be fun though? If like you walk up to a brothel and because of COVID or something, right? It just says beat it, we're closed.
You got to go home and beat it, son.
Yep,
Well,
beat it,
Matt
we're closed.
has brought the bacon. Yay! Thank you, Matt, for bringing the bacon. We endorse bacon here at Miss Martin Muses.
We
And
love
we-
bacon.
And we do not endorse anything that Stieg says. Yes, I agree. Ew. Thank you.
Brian
Yeah.
with the sense.
I mean, Genie Max D.
No,
but-
it was just like observations.
Yeah.
Yeah, of
I
course.
wasn't telling people to go to a brothel.
I would hope
Well-
not.
No. So here's the ball game. So now that the line of succession is by him making Martin legitimate, that means that Martin is the heir to the throne, not Liam.
Correct.
And I know that in many cases, Liam didn't want to be king, but this could potentially cause problems. Like, so if Martin decided that he wanted to try to claim the throne, it could draw the voting thing into a deadlock. Like they would have to make it into a vote or something like that, and then
Okay.
could cause war.
But here's my question, right? Since like not to be mean to Martin because I really like Martin, but since he's like technically a bastard child, would he actually be first choice? Because whenever it came to bastard children in certain kingdoms or certain lore, they didn't necessarily get a chance for the throne. So I'm just kind of curious about that.
He's no longer a bastard. He made it legitimate.
Yeah, he made him legitimate. That was
that's
the big
true.
deal.
Okay.
Yeah,
forget about that little segment.
No problem. And in the real world, I'm thinking about the royal kingdom, like the Brits. Bastards. The idea of legitimizing a bastard was it just wasn't something done. But I'm thinking more like in the Game of Thrones kind of lore and stuff. It's like that you're a Snow or you're a Rivers or something. But if you are you're made legitimate by law, not necessarily by a state of birth. So yes, so he legally. That's why he made the person witness it. So now Martin is legitimately the first son.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. So, and that's the way it works in this world, which sucks. But it was interesting because I'm not even sure I entirely bought that it would go necessarily into Civil War, because I they said that people wouldn't like it maybe if Martin went to claim for the throne, but usually they even say that the firstborn will always get to be the heir unless there's really a serious situation.
I don't think that Martin would have caused an uproar for the most part. I think he would have been a wise leader, but I don't think it was in his blood, so to speak. So I don't think it's something that he would want to or be capable of doing without like being like, you know what? Why am I doing this? I'm so over this right now. And so I just don't see it being something that he would have wanted to do. But that's just me personally. But I'll tell you my thoughts on the whole Civil War thing once we get to the part where everyone kind of finds out. So
Okay, well, all right. So we're gonna go move a little bit forward, where I just have to pause to talk about my Willie.
Oh, really? Sorry.
Okay, this is gonna be one of those streams, eh? William, but I don't.
Anyway.
All right. Later, it occurred to me that I don't think he's known as Willie in this. It's later that's his nickname, Willie, and I think even Will as he gets older. But he'll always be okay. My William. Okay, fine, my William. Because of course he is perfection, and I love him forever. But he's still 4, and Fantas. This is kind of important that the fire drake and the boy had taken one look at each other and decided they were friends.
That was so cute.
How adorable. And also, even though they were friends, after a few days, Fantas is just exhausted. And once when they're like, hey, go outside and play, William. And then Fantas is like, thank God. And it reminds me of a kid with a puppy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and we're going to kind of see a little later that it's more than a friendship. I mean, first of all, it's adorable, but second of all, that there is a connection between the two. And it's a fire drake, whatever thing going on. So, like, they're besties for life. It's not just this cute little thing with a little toddler type, but I just loved it, and how it's like, and then William is sitting there sleeping with his arms around Fantas, and I just love it. And Kasumi, I've noticed he was just getting a little bit disturbed the way everyone's so casual around Pug. They're all just like, hey, Pug, hey, this. They come up and hug him. They talk to him. They disagree with him. And he keeps going, great one. It's like, what's wrong with these people? It's like, you're supposed to be showing more respect to the magician. And shows a little bit of the culture clash they're having. But also a little bit of honor with Kasumi, because the king is still alive, and we're still going to be having this big battle. The war's not over yet, and he even says, "Listen, dudes, I cannot stand against my own people. I give you, I want. May I have your permission to return to my own lines?" And then they ask for his promise that you will not repeat anything you have heard. And Kasumi agreed that, and this shows not only the level of trust that they have, but I think it's also a little bit in their culture that when you give your word like that, it means something to you. And then he gives an order to him, goes, my last order to you as a magician of Surabaya, return to your father, for he has need of you. One more soldier dying will aid your nation little. And then Kasumi just goes, your will, great one. And that's it. So Pug has given him an order to return to his father.
No, I love that.
Yeah. And then he embraced Lori because they became friends.
Yeah. I thought that
No.
was sweet too. The dynamic between Kasumi and Lori was really awesome in the last segment that we talked about. So I really like that.
Yeah. And then before Pug goes to bed, she's like, I can see you have the weight of the world on you. And he's like, the weight of two worlds. And then this is where the king comes with his head split in two. So, yay, that solved a problem there.
Well, he arrives and talks to them first, doesn't he?
Yeah, because he's a little
And
bit.
then there's like a battle, and then
Oh, yeah, you're right. Because he's still batshit crazy. I'm sorry. And. Oh, and as he's talking to the king, Colgan is all, don't say a damn word, Liam. Like, none of us are going to talk about Martin. And they're like, you're going to start a civil war. Oh, yeah, the king wanted to seize Liam and kill him. And he's like, this is going to start civil war. So Liam submits to the crazy ass king. And, but before any of that can happen, they, the armies of the East show up and the king gets cleaven in two. Was there something else about
well,
that
he
dialogue?
doesn't get cleaven in two. He gets chopped in the head. The rest of the body is not split.
That's technicalities. His head is split. His skull gets split.
Yeah,
But you're right. I guess
if the whole person is split in twain, he will have
Split
trouble
in twain.
dishing out lines.
you're right. I was wrong. You were right, Mr. Downton Abbey. Twain. He said twain.
What?
Who uses the word twain?
What's wrong with using the word twain?
Well, nothing wrong if you're having tea at Downton Abbey.
Yeah, go sip your Earl Grey, sir.
Yeah. Where's your butler to help you with your cravats?
That's
Well,
right.
you don't need tea because you will be swallowing your boulder dash surely enough.
You know, I was going to make a reference to something you said earlier and connect it, but I didn't. So
Thank you, Renee.
you're welcome.
Oh no. I know.
Yeah, I worry about people that subscribe to me because of my Catholic explaining on Sunday. And I should probably tell them Catholic explaining is the only safe thing if that's what you're coming for.
She's
all
very
right?
Catholic on Sundays.
No. God. Oh dear, that's. I'm just saying for the content. Yeah, Miss Martin.
Oh, yeah.
Well, all of my videos I have marked as not for kids, even the Catholic explaining. But yeah, and I should warn people that St. Patrick is a saint and I ain't. So in any case, so now that he's half cloven in two, or at least his head
In twain.
in twain, he said, fuck. He says, bring Liam to me. And he goes, a demon. You see, this is why I thought it was a spell, because he said, a demon has been driven from me, Liam.
Yeah.
And I
I should have said, bring him hence.
They should have thrown an axe at his head sooner or something. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
while he was
I mean, if
before
only
the
they'd
battle.
have known. And then Liam is like, no, my king, not evil. And that also shows that, I mean, they didn't seem to have a lot of dislike for the king, because I think they knew that he was sick in the head. Like, even the duke that was loyal to him is like, he's still my king, and I'm going to just try to do the best I can to make him not cause any harm. Because,
Yeah.
you know, obviously he was batshit crazy. And I don't know if they have things in place nowadays, like if the king is insane and can be like
Well, they
removed.
certainly don't do that for presidents, but
Though
No comment.
technically we do have with the 25th Amendment. But I digress.
Yeah.
Well, nowadays I guess it doesn't matter if they're batshit crazy because, you know, look at Prince Harry. But we got Parliament in charge of that. So finally, Roderick goes, "We, Roderick, fourth of that name, blah, 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 proclaim that Liam Condoin, our blood cousin, is named heir to the throne of our kingdom." And again, this is another time where Colgan's like, shut up, don't say anything, Liam. We're all going to keep quiet about this. So they accepted it and they proclaimed him king. And Liam, rather. And Brookle even says, don't say anything. Don't say anything. And Liam is like, but my brother is now legitimized by my father. And he says, you have a war to end. We can worry about all of that later. For now, you must be the heir. So he says, as soon as you agree to keep your mouth shut, I'm ordering my trusted troops to Condor, etc., etc. So they do. They all proclaim him king. They put the ring on his finger and hail Liam, long live the heir. Men of the East and West embraced and celebrated. Yay! So now that the Civil War, at least this Civil War, is possible, next they have the big war to end. And
they also have to do it due to Guy de Bastera.
Yeah, they have to deal with him.
Yeah, because if they didn't do this, then he would have carte blanche to the throne.
Oh, good point.
Yeah.
Take advantage. And then there's this issue of, as they're making peace, they're all like, okay, we'll pardon them and they're all going to live happily ever after. But they're like, no, they can only kill themselves or become slaves. So this was going to be a bit of an issue as well that is about to be made a moot point. I mean, what ends up happening with Macros is kind of convenient. It solves a lot of this problem. So they send word to the emperor that Liam will accept peace, and they're going to be having a big peace conference. And then there's some good dialogue with Pug and Colgan about, now I am the master, you're the master, and I am the apprentice. And then Pug's like, no, I've never been comfortable with that. I'm still your student. And it's like, oh, just kind of cool stuff.
There's a lot of honorable people in these books.
Correct. Because Pug could have become a prick. Like, I'm a great one. I am special.
And it kind of felt like he was going down that road for a bit, and you're like, whoa, that's not the Pug we knew. Like, find yourself again. Come back to who you were. And he did. Yeah.
Like Lion King. Pug, remember who you are. And I think a lot of that had to do with him coming back. And maybe what happened in the arena had to happen, and he had to lose his shit to realize this is not my home.
Yeah.
And Colgan also says something cool, that even if none of this had ever happened, had the Serani never come, you still would have found a path to become the great master magician. And that says something that, that we are more in charge of our destiny than we think, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Wise words from the characters, but obviously Feist has either some wisdom from himself or some wise people around him that he uses.
Well, I'll tell you guys what I feel and how I think about like this whole thing once we finish talking about all the chapters in this portion, because I started looking up some stuff and I was like, this just sounds very this. And I'll tell you guys how I feel about that in a little bit. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Jacob says, Teresa, I sent you a DM on Twitter, a photo I found. Oh, okay. I will give that a look. All right. Stig, anything else you want to say before we move on to chapter 13?
No.
Okay. Ready?
Just hell of a build up going on.
Yeah, no, like I was saying, I feel like, like Stig, you said this in an earlier stream. I don't feel like the king was evil. He was just crazy, and it sadly took a massive head wound to get the crazy out. But it was nice to see him have a moment of clarity and sanity before the end. So I really appreciated that. And I appreciated Lord Boric basically acknowledging Martin before he passed, but I think he took time for granted, and I wish he hadn't done that.
Hmm. Yeah. Gosh darn it. But I still love it. I still love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's good stuff. Good stuff. All right, so we're going to go on to chapter 13. Yeah, I saw this. It's a picture of Fantas. I'll see if I can bring it up. Jacob, sometimes some technical issues as I'm going through my notes and hosting these. But let's say we go on to deceptions. Now we are back with the elves. And you've got Aglarana. I hope I said her name correctly.
Yeah, you did.
Sounds good to me. That's how I say it in my head.
You look at me. You're like, there's this. And they're talking about the fact that, yay, Thomas, yay, he gets to live. And now we all have this hope. And he's not a psycho. We don't have to put him down like a dog. And, oops, I flipped the page too far. And then she said, since becoming Thomas's lover, she had gotten used to his uncanny ability to sense events elsewhere. Yeah, so he was thinking that something's going on that I don't know what's going on. But he said an age is dying. And then we go back to our peeps, where they're kind of just reiterating all the stuff. And Pug asks a little bit about Carlene. He says, well, she was 15 years old when you last saw her. So I'm like glad. It's like, thank you for reminding me. I forgot. I keep forgetting how old all these people are. And she is much changed. And they are, the context of this is Pug and Colgan are writing a letter to them to tell them about the death of their father and asking them to bring Rutha and Carlene. But very specifically, nothing is said about Martin, which is why what happens later makes we know that there's something very, very deceptive afoot. So then we move back to the Elven area, and they're all like, okay, we're all good. And then they're like, wait, we can't be all good yet. And Thomas and all of them is like, what's going on? It's like, we will not place ourselves under his rule. And Thomas is like, dude, why all of a sudden you're concerned about that? And like, well, you have a means of a claim. And Thomas like, what means? He's like, I don't want to be the ruler. And she goes, or is it, the queen carries your child. And he's like, Aglarana, is it true? And she's like, yes, but I wanted to hold off because of all the war and all this. And then they're all like, yay, it's a baby. But this means that he, I guess, has a claim to be the king of the people. And he goes to the Callan, Aglarana's son. Don't worry, you're the heir. I will not be your king. And he says, I only claim to right to sit beside my queen and with your blessings as her consort. And so he is not claiming rule, he's claiming consort position. So he's turning into Prince Philip. So he will be the prince and his wife will be the queen. And of course, their son will be like a loyal little half elf person. And everyone's like, yay. So they go off and have the big wedding. And then the deception comes in because Laurie is minding his own business with the message to Thomas and all of them, the note in that Liam is now heir. So yay. But of course, there's a mysterious man, none other than, as we know, Macros, who's like, oh, it's a really great thing. You already delivered this message and everyone said it was all cool and all that. And so Laurie goes away really, truly believing that he had delivered the message. And then the message, of course, that they receive says, "Oh yeah, Martin," and you are to go at once to Cridey. So, and he does give Martin some good news. He says in compassion, "You should know that your father spoke your name in love at the last." But yeah, he's screwing things up. The message was supposed to be just, to Thomas and all of them, and not a message to go fetch Martin. So by fetching Martin, everything's going to be stacked up. But also, the part of the message that they get is, let's see, I'm looking at my notes here. How exactly did they say that? That there's going to be a peace offering happening, but they're going to be betrayed. So Thomas has to strike first. Do I have that correct? I still get confused with the details.
Yeah, that's pretty much what he said.
Yeah, because I know that there's talk about who was doing the betrayal, but Thomas had no reason to believe that what Macros said was wrong. So Macros was screwing with everybody. He screwed by getting Martin to come and saying, "You have to strike first," which we know is going to cause all hell to break loose. All hell.
Yeah.
So, oh, hello, White Bear. Thank you. What are we? I'm looking for Brian. Oh, I'm not sure where he is. He's here. He's definitely here. So, Rennie, as we're getting into this, I know it's so hard to summarize, but what are your thoughts so far and what we're leading to?
Well, I thought it was nice that Thomas made peace with Aglarena's firstborn. So I thought that was really nice because he felt really threatened by Thomas. And I think with, the way that he was kind of brainwashed by this magic armor, so to speak, he was becoming a little bit too arrogant and a little bit too aggressive. And so for one, I think he feared for his mother, but then for two, now that she's pregnant, he was afraid okay, well, this guy's going to try to take my throne away. And, Thomas at first was like, well, I do technically have a claim. But then when he realized where the son was coming from, he's like, oh, you're right. No, that's not really why I'm here. And, I will gladly accept you as king. I don't want any strife. I just want to be with your mom. So I thought that was nice. And then I thought, the whole Macros thing, I was like, oh, what is this dude up to? Because when I read it the first time and then I read it again the second time, it's definitely, when you meet a stranger in the woods and you're on your way to deliver a message and this stranger says, oh, I'll go ahead and do it for you. We're good. If you've never met this guy before, just go and deliver it yourself. Now,
well, there was probably magic involved.
Well, and
that's
his spell was put on.
And that's what I was gonna say. But I was gonna say, if it's somebody like Macros, he could probably overtake you anyway, so it doesn't matter. You still wouldn't get your message across. Yeah. But I just, that was not a good thing, and I, really had a bad feeling about it. And then again, it's just like, oh man. So, but I don't know. I don't believe that Macros is evil. I just believe that he thought he was doing the right thing. But to me, I don't know if wholeheartedly that was the right way to go about it. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah. Well, he does explain it later that he was seeing things that they didn't see, which is why he did it.
Yeah.
But,
well, we do get one explanation.
Yeah, that it was actually going at the time. Sorry,
yeah, because the rift, it's bad if it stays open, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. I was trying to be careful with that, but yeah.
Oh yeah, like I said, we're breaking all the rules. You can jump ahead if you want to. Yes, because he foresaw, because you see, Macros is so powerful and all that. It's like past, present, future. He's almost godlike. It melds together, and that while on the short term, what happened was bad, keeping the rift open was going to cause the destruction of everything.
Which I appreciated, but I just feel like there might have been a better distraction than to just have how many lives did they say they lost? Like 2,000 lives. And
Mhm.
that's just really sad that not only that, but he messed up um the whole possibility for peace between the Tsurani and the McKimians, at least for the time being. So I was like, was there not another way he could have like distracted people or had this happen? Or was Pug not capable of closing it himself while they were in the peace talks? I don't know. That I just think that there would have been another way. But that's just me.
Yeah.
And it vilified like Thomas, even though Thomas was just doing what he thought his king wanted him to do. So,
Yeah. Oh
you
yeah,
know,
it's sucked all over the place. And yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and move us into chapter because this is moving into chapter 14. But on the other hand, I think Macros was right when he was saying you all would have found a reason not to do it, and that by doing it this way, you had no choice to put an end to it. But yes, I agree with all of this. And when the emperor and all them are like betrayal, and it's hard to read. And Liam, even as this is all happening, he's like, I'm not going to fight. We're not, whatever's going on, we're not going to get ourselves involved because, this was a peace treaty. We didn't betray them, but it just came to the point where they had to because there was just no way to put a stop to it. But I did think it was really cool how it took Macros, Pug, and Colgan to close it. I mean, that's how much power they had. And it was pretty amazing seeing that moment. Again, this was another master magician moment that I just thought was just badass, but also, as I said, including Colgan. And they just unleashed this incredible power to close the rift. Sad, though, that it did cut off, for example, the people, the Serrani. They lost the possibility of going home.
Well, not just that. You had Thomas attack the Serrani.
yeah.
Oh, that's what I mean. Yeah, I just kind of skipped it. Yeah, that fact was just awful. Yes.
I felt
Because
bad for Kasumi in the whole situation. He was a good guy, in my opinion. And I just felt bad that he had to go through all that anguish and then got cut off from his home.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, I like him. He's a good person,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the reason they have to close the gate though is due to the old Chaos War stuff, where there's a being called the Stranger who
Mm-hmm.
destroyed worlds in the past, and that was how or why Macros had saved the Serrani world back in the day. Because remember, Pug had a vision of that,
Mm-hmm.
and now he pretty much made sure both worlds got saved, right?
Yeah.
By closing the rift, because the magic in the rift basically served as a beacon to
Mm-hmm.
attract this Galactus like being, right?
Correct.
So
That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, you'll learn more about that later in the books too.
Yeah. And Jacob Ironside says 2,000 lives or the enemy kills your entire world. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Soul Assassin Grand Finale. Surprised there's no clip of Stig's puns. He definitely says some. Oh, gee whiz. I wouldn't. That would take half my life. Yeah.
What?
And
I never say puns.
What?
and then after after the surrender, because of all that, finally, Pug and all them, while they're happy to see Thomas, Liam's like, what cause did you have to attack? Why did you attack? And Thomas is all, because that's what y'all told me I was supposed to do. And he says, in Macros, he brought it to us. And they're all like, fuck, Macros. And then they realized what happened. And Lori is sitting there going, "No, I did deliver it," and they realized it wasn't anyone's real fault there; that it was macros that fecked everything up. But what a dick!
And well, when the macros disappeared into the void, and that almost happened to Pug as well.
Yeah, yeah, he got lucky
Yeah.
because he had to have a happy ending.
He had a
Yeah.
happy ending in the void.
Yeah. Oh, dear.
He voided himself.
Yeah. And then they realized that, okay, the real goal wasn't peace. The real goal wasn't anything for Macros. It was the closing of the rift. But wasn't there a cool moment when Thomas saw a stranger sitting next to him? And Dolgan said, "Are you blind, boy? Can't you recognize your old boyhood companion?" And he's like, "Pug." And it's like, "Pug." And they hugged and they cried. And so that was a reunion I had been looking forward to.
Yeah,
And
they haven't seen each other since. It's been 10 years almost.
yeah, in the
Yeah.
And
cave when Pug thought Thomas was lost.
Yeah.
In the cave, right after they set off on their first adventure. I mean, they've been through so much.
Right before Thomas got powered up.
Yeah. Ugh. So that was a
Or
really
leveled
happy. Yeah, leveled up. Yeah, he leveled
up.
up.
There we go.
Yes. And of course, the soldiers that are stuck left behind, they're like, "I'll ask permission to take my own life." And they're like, "What, dude?"
Because it's a matter of honor, right?
Yeah. And they're like, "Dude, please don't." And he says, "No, you're not dishonored, and everything's cool now." And he goes, "It is our way." And Liam says, "No longer. This is now your homeland. What Pug and Colgan have said about risk makes it unlikely she'll ever return to the big long name for the Serrani people.
Saranawani.
Thank you, Saranarani. And it's my intention to see that turn to good advantage, because in Lamut, then the northern borders, we need a really good security, and that we'll put the Serrani up there. And guess who will put? I will place you under the command of the Earl of Lamut." And
That was
Lori's
so
like,
great.
"Yeah." Oh,
It made me so happy for him. He's such a sweetie.
And yeah, well, Kasumi is trapped on another world. He's not going to see his family.
oh, I know.
And the rift, the fact that they managed to point it at Midkemia was like 1 in a million.
Yeah.
So it's not, you can't, it's going to be really difficult to make a new one. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. And he even says, "You all have been used by this sorcerer as much as any," and he gives him a knight captaincy. And I'm just like, oh. So then they all go and they have a big party, because everyone loves a big party. Let's see.
I mean, why not?
Yeah. And I just love it that Thomas and Pug get to sit and talk to each other, and Thomas is talking about the whole Dragon Lord magic armor thing, and him and Colgan were like, "Dude." I mean, like, they want to study it so much, and I'm just like, oh gosh, I'm just geeking out. Of course, Colgan is like a kid in a candy shop. We're going to see that a bit later when he sees all the sources that he is going to be having at his disposal. Oh, and oh gosh, it's just so good. And of course, just really cute things with my. Gosh, I gotta quit saying my Willie, because everyone takes it the wrong way. But
it's like, dang,
he is. All these are my boys. All of these are my boys.
I always thought this series was, this and the Shanra series was very similar in build as the old Star Wars EU. because you have bloodlines, you have you know, magic users,
Mhm,
which, you know,
mhm.
you you could say a Jedi is a magic user technically, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In quotation marks, you know.
No, that's completely fair. One of my favorite lines at the end of the evening is Thomas goes, ha 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 ha. I'd love to be there when you meet Carlene again with a wife and son in tow. And then and then Pug's like, feels like Katala's eyes on him and he turns and she has a determined look on his face, or her face rather. In even measured tones, she asks, "Who's Carly?" And I loved it because that is
Yeah.
so typical. It doesn't matter that he's married to her and all that. It's like, oh, you need to tell me about somebody? And she's just glaring at him, and
Well,
Pug's like, oh shit.
obviously she hasn't been discussed before, so it's like, and
Mhm.
who's this woman I've never heard of before?
Exactly.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Completely a female response.
Is she pretty? Do you think she's pretty?
Exactly. I just thought that was just hilarious and very much in character with just the way anything goes. And as the
As
chapter,
a Sentinel in the chat as well, you know, to someone who has never seen a Jedi, they would think they were using magic. And if you think about it,
Well,
um, in the first movie, they referred to Vader as using his sorcerous ways.
mhm.
well, but also when George Lucas was originally interviewed about the first movie, he did refer to Obi-Wan Kenobi as a wizard.
Yeah,
Mhm.
So I totally
He-
agree with that, and it is kind of a method of using magic, so to speak.
yeah. It's
So yeah,
the Force is a magic system
yeah,
that you'll
agreed.
find in fantasy books, because Star Wars is Star Wars is a fantasy story set in space. It's not sci-fi. George Lucas even said so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a fantasy space opera. It's not sci-fi.
Yeah. Star Trek is sci fi, Star Wars is not, as you have said.
Yep, yep.
Yeah. And they're really stretching out the revelation about Martin being the son because, being their brother, because even at the end of the chapter, as Liam's like, I've got to make a decision and all that, and Arutha's like, hey man, not your choice. You're going to be the king. There's no other brother. And Liam doesn't tell him yet. He says, I'll tell you after you all go to the Sorcerer's Ireland.
Yeah, and Arutha is prepared to kill Martin.
yeah. I was pretty flabbergasted by Arutha just being so damn hateful about that. I really was shocked. I was like,
Well, not hateful, I think. Just
threatened though. He's like, so basically he goes off on Liam after everything that we've done to build up our kingdom. You're going to possibly think about giving it to him? And I'm like, wow, like you haven't known this man all your life anyways, so does it matter? And this is your brother. Do you really think that he would try to undo everything that you've tried to build after as intelligent and smart and good choices that he makes on certain quests that you've been on with him? You're not going to trust him to do this? I was really disappointed in
oh,
Arutha and
I
his
think
reaction.
I think he was worried about civil war, so that he'd kill him before it came to that.
Well, he went off on Liam like nuts. I mean, he was really nasty with him over it. And I was just like, dude, calm your
Yeah.
boobies. I mean, like, seriously.
Yeah. In defense of Arutha, I know what you're saying, Rennie, but in defense of
Yeah.
him, they'd just been through all this. They had avoided civil war at least 3 times by this point. And then Liam, all he has to do is keep his big mouth shut and they won't have a civil war. And he's like, we're going to start a civil war. Are you kidding me? And civil wars can go on for generations. I look at the War of the Roses, for feck's sake. Though
Yeah,
that
and
was more.
Arutha's pretty much gone through hell.
Yeah.
You know, that guy has been fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I hear what you're saying. Yeah. It's, I mean, it also could be they say more than once that these people are tired, they're exhausted. Like I think Liam even is like, I can't even have an emotion right now about all of this. Um, but before we quite get to there, they go off to the island. But I just love it that Lori stays with Kasumi to aid in the assimilation of Serani soldiers into the Lamudian garrison, which makes sense because that's been his role. He was an intermediary before. It was teaching them about Midkimian ways, and now he's going to be helping Kasumi as well as the rest of the soldiers in Lamut. So yay.
Yeah.
I just, those are the little touches I just can't get enough of. And then as they go to the island, there's Gathis, which is kind of like a goblin, something or other, a magical creature that is
It's like
like
a
their
butler.
Yeah,
Yeah,
butler.
Macros's butler, probably from another world. Well, he is, isn't he? He says so.
Uh-huh. I mean,
Macros has found him on a different, planet.
yeah.
I
Which is
kind of
another
liked him
thing
though.
that I thought it has stuff in common with Star Wars because it spans worlds.
Hmm.
You know.
Yeah. Vinny, what were you saying?
I said, yeah, I kind of liked him. I liked Macros's butler. He was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. And I
Yeah.
mean, how awesome would it be to have a magical butler? I mean, come on.
Yeah. I mean,
And
I get he's off-putting because he looks kind of like a goblin, but it's pretty cool.
and he is in more books as well.
Mm-hmm. And it goes with saying that as this island becomes this magic school, you're going to have all sorts of creatures and different people with different kinds of magic. There's one I'm thinking in particular that I can't talk about, a certain character that it's not just your typical magicians. It's like people touched with different skills that fall under magic.
Yeah,
But on a whole other level.
you definitely run into other characters that are maybe as powerful as Pug, but in the magic works different for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's fun, and that's why I almost geeked out along with Colgan when he gets into this library-ish area and realizes, oh my gosh, well, first of all, they had a map. So the map that we've been seeing, finally our characters get to see. They're like, dude, look, there's this here, the Empire of Great Kesh, the Keshian Confederacy. There's all these maps, and then all of these books. And he's like, oh my gosh. And before they leave, they have to tell Colgan, they like, we're not going to let you start reading these things because we'll never get you to come back. So they let him like take a few scrolls with him to read. But before that happens, finally Macros shows up, and he says, I am what the Serani would call a great one, though I have visited that world, my magic is peculiar to myself. I am a walker of many paths. I am a servant of the gods. I am not of this world. In a land distant both space and time. And he says, I unwittingly gave near immortality to myself. And since I have become a sorcerer, I've been fated to know my own future as well as others and their paths. So that's why he was able to have the foreknowledge that as awful as he did, what was terrible, it was actually going to save lives. So I don't know. So we get a little bit of that part. Oh, and that is also when Pug lets us know that he only sees his magic is now cut in half.
Yeah.
Yeah, he lost connection to the source of the Serani world, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And conveniently, Macro says, my seeing of the future ends with the explosion of the rift, so they can't use it later as a deus machina. And a new epoch of magic is beginning in the kingdom. And that's kind of like what I said, that there's going to be all sorts of different kinds of magic and different kinds of magic users and people with gifts. Into your hands, I leave this new age. So that's that. And what was it that Colgan said? That was a line that Rennie really related to. He's opened up more questions than he's answered.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, I completely agree because it's like, well, wait. Like
Well, it worked. It made you want to read more books.
yeah, true, but that's not right.
If you're an author, it's completely acceptable. You know.
Yeah.
True.
Yep.
Well, that's the sign of a good author, though, because you want more, right?
That's true.
Yep. Yep. Darn right.
And the other books will just add more questions too. So you'll be reading them to get answers, and then yeah, I got my answers. Now there's 10 more questions.
Mm-hmm. So, well, the bastard kept us going for what 26 books and 30 years. So there we go. And he's just completed a new trilogy, completely different world, and so he's what 77. That man is like an Energizer bunny. He won't stop, and
Wow.
that's good. Yeah,
That's pretty impressive.
yeah, most impressive. And well, don't even get me started on Brandon Sanderson. That man, I mean, he has an output that's insane.
Yeah.
But a discussion for another day. I'm just jealous of him because I know that he has this big mansion with a huge movie theater. I'm like, damn it, I want that. Own private one so you can go to the have your own cinema without people. But I just love the way that when, like I told you, when they weren't letting Colgan stay to read the books, it said Colgan looked like a child whose sweets had been taken from him. And no longer will an apprentice learn from this master or that, but from many. And they're like, but now there's a new king to crown. Dun, dun, dun. Poor
Now comes the
Ruth
next
still,
set of drama.
yes, and
Or
Ruth still
supposed.
doesn't know. Yeah. Okay. Anything else about Macros, the island, the magic stuff before we move on to chapter 16?
Well, they finally got inside the castle on the island.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's true because Pug got into what, like a small building that's kind of connected to it in the first book, but not really inside the castle itself, right?
Yes.
That was more like a torn down building some ways away.
Okay, yeah, but it was on the island, but just yeah. Couldn't remember exactly where.
Yeah, and I guess it was something like only someone worthy would have been able to have opened it. So
Yeah, I thought that was cool the way that the door opened.
Mhm.
Because it's like you expect it to swing open, and it's like, yeah, no, that's not the way it goes.
Nopesy. All right. Well, we now have Renaissance. Everyone's like, woohoo, we're going to have a coronation. Yay, everyone's here. And then Prince Arutha arrives. Everyone's like, yay. And he's like, where's Liam? He's in the royal tomb, says, is it Anita? Or yes, Anita. And only Martin has seen Liam since supper, and he had the strangest look. And Ruth is like, hardy har har. Martin's always full of strange looks, but Anita's like, no. There's something very queer in the wind. So Arutha is being warned. Frankly, I might have lost my crap too because they didn't tell Arutha, and then it's all this cryptic crap, and then it's you must come to the tomb and come alone. And finally, he sees Liam alone in front of his father's tomb. And he's like, what is this, Liam? And Liam just says, look. Or no, he just points. And it's like, here lies the Duke of Cryde, father of Martin, Liam, Arutha, and Carleen. And I would have lost my crap too. I am, it's like, what's madness is this, says Arutha. He is our brother, says Liam. He is the eldest. And then they talk about what we mentioned. It all makes evil sense. Martin's exclusion from the choosing, the way father always kept an eye on his whereabouts and his freedom to go as he pleased. And then we learned that the mother of him, of Martin was a pretty serving girl, and it was 5 years before father knew of him. When he learned of Martin, he had already been abandoned by his mothers to the monks of Sullivan's Abbey, and he was already married to our mother. So maybe there's a little bit of an answer there about why he waited to acknowledge him, because he says that he feared shaming mother.
Yeah. And I understand that. I really do. I just, Martin got the short end of the stick, and I just really feel for him.
Yeah. And it's like, dude, you could have done it after the wife died, but oh well.
Yeah.
Of course, I want to know a DNA test. I mean, luckily Martin looked like all the brothers and all that, but yeah, 5 years later, it's like, yeah, you're the father. It's like, yeah, let's let's confirm. Like, what poor people? What did they do when? What did they do when they didn't have DNA tests? Jacob, it is pronounced Carlene in the audio version, and that's the one I use because I prefer it to Carline. But
yeah, it just kind of hits the ear easier.
Yeah. Feist says Caroline.
Really?
Yeah.
This sounds wrong.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so
He's full of shit.
On the other hand, it is his book, but I can't, because Carline is what you friggin' do at the end of the school day when the kids are being picked up. It's like, it's too much like Carline. I call it Carlene. So you can call her whatever you want. This is also just really sad, because then we learn from Liam's point of view. He says, yeah, Martin already came this morning and he saw the tomb thing, and then I saw him weep. He said, I'm pleased he told you. And Liam tells Arutha, he knew. All these years he knew, and never once did he seek to turn that knowledge to his own gain. And then Arutha asked, did he say anything more? Only thank you, Liam. And then he left. But then this is what we were talking about earlier. Arutha then starts to lose his crap. Like, do you know what you have done? He says, I'm aware of my actions. And he says, I'm not going to oppose him. He says the announcement of succession was invalid. Roderick named me heir not knowing. And he's like, this could very well lead to a deadlock Congress, and that's exactly what Guy wishes. And so you had said, Rennie, that you wanted to say perhaps a little more about this. So I didn't know if you wanted to take the floor.
Well, I just kind of, I feel like we covered it in the previous chapter, since anything goes, but, I just feel like Arutha may have overreacted a little bit. Mm-hmm. But, I understand his stance, but at the same time, to me, it sounded like envy and not so much about, about protecting the kingdom and stuff like that. It just, it's like, what right has he got? And I just didn't care for that attitude. I was like, dude, I thought you were a lot better person than that. Can't you understand Martin's side of everything? Or can't you try to understand, this poor man was denied his, the claim to his father, and not because of, the whole royalty thing, but just to be able to be acknowledged as this man's son. So I just felt like he was being kind of heartless on that front, and that may just be me, but it just made me kind of sad for Arutha's sake, or not Arutha, for Martin's sake, and
There's another thing though. If Martin becomes king, then Liam becomes Prince of Crondor, which makes Arutha nothing, which means he can't marry Anita.
Okay. But, so I felt like for me, it was more about how it affected him versus how it affected like the kingdom. That's just how I felt.
I think it's a bit of both. You talked me, you convinced me a bit there, Rennie. Yeah, I forgot. What a tragedy it would be if Anita and Rutha couldn't have been together because they're meant to be. They're meant to be. Damn it.
Oh,
Um.
Salty's gotten the talent of the Silver Hawk.
Yes.
Uh, I hope you've read everything before that. Otherwise, you're spoiling galore.
Yeah, it won't make a lot of sense. But
Yeah, good book. You're
mhm.
in for a treat.
Oh, I
Actually,
love
all of
Talon.
them. Well, I struggled a bit with the Krondor trilogy. That wasn't my favorite, but Teresa liked it.
I did.
So, uh,
I
but
still. Oh.
yeah, it's. I'm definitely reading this whole series again.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, I think maybe with the Krondor, see, you had a different experience from me because you played the video game first before you read
Ah,
the books. So I just read them as books. I don't, and of course, anything that Willie and Jimmy do is perfection. So I'm also biased as far as that's concerned. But yes, well, talent. This man has a talent for making me like all his characters, all his heroes. I'm always like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this new character. And then Talon, for example, in Talon of the Silverhawk, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to adopt him. So yeah, and as far as the Anita thing, again, a spoiler. I'm gonna Reddy's. We're gonna talk her into reading. I know you're going to go a bit slower, but Anita and Arutha in the next book in Silverthorn. I mean, oh my gosh, the love.
oh,
It is so love. Oh,
Oh, there's another love story too.
uh, yes, but we're not going to talk about that, though. It's already kind of hinted at. Hinted at. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think I recall Salty you talking about that. Yes, Steve has a list or of the reading order.
Oh
Because
yeah, yeah. I can DM you the chronological list right now.
oh, excellent.
nice.
Yes,
Oh yeah,
and
he sent that to me the other day, I believe. Was it
mhm,
yesterday?
I think so.
I don't know.
I thought it was yesterday.
Yeah, and the thing is, you won't regret having bought Talon of Silverhawk and all that because it's you'll want them all. That I'm just really biased as far as that's concerned. Um, but I do like
Yeah,
what it.
if you start with them with that book, that's basically like starting with book 8 in the Wheel of Time.
Yeah,
You know.
because so much with magic and stuff is going on, and you'll find spoilers about what happens to some characters that will make reading the other ones different. But Arutha says, I think basically what's on his heart. He says, "In another time and place, I would gladly accept him as my brother," and that's and even before a few months previously, they wouldn't have had this dilemma because it would have been Erland, and the whole succession thing wasn't going to be a problem. But now that what happened in the death of their father, it changed everything. He said, "But should it come to bloodshed, William, or sorry, Liam, I'll willingly kill him." So it's like, dude.
That's a bit brutal, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then what is it that Lori gets a place, doesn't he? Um, because he says, I no longer have to worry about finding a widow with an inn. Because no, he didn't get a position. He said I had forgotten I had a small fortune in gems with me. Yes, so
That's
he
right.
was. Yes, that was what that was all about. And he says, now I don't have to worry about finding a widow with an inn. And it's just all this happy crap. And I love the fact that they don't know what's been brewing. And then, dun dun dun, Carlene shows up, and Lori stood unable to take his eyes from the young woman in green, and it's just pretty cool. But
Yeah.
Katala, sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, I thought that was cute.
Yeah, and so it's not a spoiler, I think, to know where that's heading, because they don't put something in a book that is not going to pay off later. That there's also a cute moment where Carlene says, "Hey, let's all," sorry, Katala says to everyone, "Hey, let's all go for a walk." So she leaves Pug alone with Carlene. And when she says to him, "I guess we're cousins now," of a sort. It's like, yeah, they are. They're cousins, our first cousins. So that's just cute. But there was a cute moment where Carlene just goes up and kisses Katala on the cheek and all that, showing like, hey, obviously no hard feelings. Like, oh yay, look at your cute son. In other words, it was something when they were younger. It's not a big
Yeah.
deal.
It's over. No like residual feelings. It's all good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, because for crying out loud. But it is something, since the manner of how it happened, they had to have that discussion.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and then the
meanwhile,
next book, Carline has Katala assassinated. No, I'm
that
kidding.
he is lying. He is. You're terrible.
If I can't have him, nobody will, even if I don't want him.
Die, bitch, die.
Yeah.
Poor
Go
thing.
to hell and you die.
Yeah. Well, meanwhile, everyone now knows, at least in the circle, what happened with Liam and Martin and all them. And because Liam, I guess, is a bit dumber than a rock, he wanted to keep it a secret, but he had the stonemasons make the little tomb thing. So they're like, so now the whole city knows, because like those stonemasons, we're not gonna blab.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, oh my gosh. So they all know, and Bruchel even says that no one will plunge my kingdom into civil war again. Should Martin be king, all will bow before him. He's like, I don't care. He's like, I don't care who's the king. We're all going to swear fealty to him.
That's
Should Liam,
right.
yeah. Should Liam take the crown, Martin will swear fealty or not leave the palace alive. And should the crown be broken, that's the worst case scenario where it has to go to like a Congress or something. We hold this palace, and no lord leaves until a Congress has named one brother king, even if we're a year in that bloody damned hall. So I love his practicality here. He's like, screw it all. I don't care who's the king, but we're going to swear fealty. There will be one king, and that's it. And if anyone has another idea, you can feck off. Which I actually relate to.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, because when sometimes in your life, you know how it is. It's like, you know what? I don't even care what you're all arguing about. We're going to solve this right now. And then we're not going to damn well talk about it ever again, because I want to go home. I want to, I don't know, do something else with my life. I've done this 1,000 times when kids are arguing over the same damn toy, and I just go right in there and I take the toy and I put it in timeout and I say, no one's playing.
No, you're supposed to break the toy and blame one of the kids.
Set it on fire. This is what happens.
Yeah. And then you like,
class.
and then you put the kid in front of the rest of the class and said, "This kid made me have to break the toy for all of you."
You can go ahead and thank him after school.
Yeah.
See, this is how I know you've never been an educator, because
Well, that would educate him quite well. He's never going to argue about a toy ever again.
He's also going to get his butt handed to him by the rest of the students.
And then I would get 1,000 emails from all angry parents.
Don't reply to him.
Yeah. All right. It doesn't work like that. So to make a long story short, they all go into the hall. Everyone's tense. And Martin comes in. Martin, eldest son.
No. Martin has a long talk with Amos.
Oh, before they go in. Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
but
a very important. Amos is MVP.
okay, tell me about that discussion they have, Steve.
No,
Okay, I'll tell it then.
yeah, because
Yes.
I don't remember what it was.
Oh, that's I guess my job. Yes. So while Martin's like, "What do I do?" He runs across Amos. First of all, Amos has given him some wine. I thought you might be in need of it and a shipmate mate to share it. He says, it's all over the house. Oh, yeah, that's how we learned that everyone knows because Liam was dumber than a rock because he had to have the stone workers make the tomb. And of course, everyone's like, dude, guess what we just made? um, and he's like, should I be king? Martin asks Amos. Amos laughs. I have two thoughts on that, Martin. First, it's always better to be captain than deckhand, which is why I'm a captain. Second, there's some difference between ship and a kingdom. And Martin's like, you are no help at all. And then he goes, see here, there's this pretty little three-master in the royal harbor. I've not had much time, but with the king's pardon being declared, there's plenty of good lads fresh from the brig who will jump to sail with Captain Trenchard. Why don't we cast off from here and go a rowing? Which is kind of a good idea. He says, that sounds fine. I've been on a ship 3 times in my life, and with you, I nearly got killed all 3 times. And he goes, hey, the first 2 times were Arutha's fault, not mine.
That's right.
And then he says, and also a little throwaway line in there that he says he got a king's pardon, so he no longer has to be hanged. And he says, but what I must decide I cannot run from, Martin says. For good or ill, I'm the eldest son, and I have the first claim to the crown. Do you think Liam can be king? And he's like, of course he can. And he says, that's, I guess, not really the question. And then, well, Amos says, you don't have much time left to decide. The whole thing's about ready to start. There's no cutting grapples and sailing away. Your course will be set. And he goes, okay, let's go decide the fate of the kingdom. And Amos says, if you change your mind about being king or decide you've in need of a quick transportation, fetch yourself down to the docks before sundown. So yeah, a little bit of foreshadowing of something really cute. All right. Now they're going in to have the crowning ceremony, and they're all saying, now is the hour and the place. And the brothers have to state their claim. And Martin says, I am Martin, eldest son of Boric. And then Arutha, I am the son of Boric, and Liam, I am the son of Boric. But he says,
Arutha put his hand on his sword.
Yep.
Oh, yes, he did, because he's getting ready. And Liam answered, he said, the right of succession was given to me in ignorance of Martin. It is a false request, for Roderick thought me the eldest son. And they put like a staff on all of them to make sure they were telling the truth. So maybe that's how you tell. Maybe instead of a DNA test, they do a magic staff test.
Grab the staff.
Grab the staff and tell the truth.
And Martin, his eldest son, the priest addresses Martin. He holds the crown in front of him. As the eldest son of royal blood, you have the right of first claim. Will you take up this burden? Will you be our king? And he takes up the crown, and everyone's holding their breath. And then he holds it high above his head. I, Martin, do hereby abdicate any claim to the crown of the Isles, because I cannot go on without the woman I love. No, that was Edward VIII. My fault, but same idea. He abdicates. And for now and forever, on my own behalf and on behalf of all the issue from now henceforth to the last generation. Yeah, if we have any Brits still in the chat, maybe you got that reference. It cracked me up. He moved suddenly and placed a crown upon Liam's brow. Very symbolic. So now there's no doubt. He's like, not just me, but any babies or anything that comes from me till the end of everything. And he puts the crown on Liam's brow and says, "All hail Liam, true and undoubted king." And everyone's like, "Yay! Hail Liam, hail the king." And then he asks Liam, the priest asks, "Will you take up this burden and be our king?" He says, "I will be our king." And then Pug sees like everyone's relieved. They're like, "Thank goodness." And in a way, by doing this, not only is he showing like how awesome he is and how perfect he is, but this was such an act of goodwill, maturity, honor that, for now his new family, this is going to be something that they love about him. It's like, oh my gosh, not only is he like a perfect man. Well, I say he's a perfect man. Not only is he all of these things, he's our brother and we love him and look how awesome he is. And that he did the right thing. And Carlene goes and says, "Thank you, Martin." And so after they go through the big long liturgy of how to become king, which I thought was kind of cool. I like that kind of thing. Then Liam proclaims, "From this day forward, our beloved brother Arutha is Prince of Crondor, and until such time as there be a son in the house, heir to the throne. And it is our wish that the Duchy of Cride, home to our father, stay within our family. And to this end, I name Martin, Duke of Cride." And I'm just like, when I read this the first time, I was like, oh my gosh. It's like, this is too perfect. This is just too perfect. Oh. And then he says, "Let the Earl of Lamut and Knight Captain Kasumi of Lamut approach the throne." And he goes, what does he say? It's also the Duke's, the Duke's wanting to retire. And so his future son-in-law is going to be the new Earl. And he makes him the Earl of Lamut. But then he gives something to, did he give something to Kasumi?
Yes.
Yes.
So Earl becomes Duke and Kasumi becomes Earl.
That's what it was. Okay, thank you. I got confused.
They both get a promotion, and it was so cool. And I was like, "Yay!"
Okay, yeah, because I was trying to think, it's like, what the fuck? Wait, what just happened? Even my notes. Yeah. Yes. So now Kasumi is an Earl. Okay, Earl Kusami. Yes, he says. And yeah, we give you command of the garrison. He goes, "Rise, Earl Kusami." And Kasumi was speechless. And then it's like, dude, so he lives happily. So you get a kingdom, you get a title, everyone gets a title. And then they call forward Pug. And then he says to Pug, "Now it is our wish in the realm to know that this man, once called Pug, has his name inscribed upon the rolls of our family, and all know that Pug Condoy is a member of the family." So it was something that they knew, but he makes it official and says, "Behold our cousin Pug, Prince of the realm." So even Pug becomes a prince. Damn it.
Way down the line, though, of succession.
That's okay.
Yeah, because he can use magic to kill all the other ones.
Yeah. So he still has some, prestige about him,
Yeah. Oh, and then Katala runs and hugs him, and then Martin and Arutha and Liam all hug each other, brothers, and Lori, and oh gosh, it's just so perfect. And
then the little cherry in the ice cream happens.
Okay.
Amos.
Oh, okay. That's Amos. I was making sure before we got to there. Oh dear.
I have two observations about that one.
Okay, all right. So, anyways, now that everyone is happy, everyone has a kingdom, and um, Pug is with his wife, and she said, "I was thinking in all things, I am a most fortunate man." And then she says, "I think I recognize the expression on Carlene's face. I think Lori may be in for some trouble." And he goes, "Knowing Lori," or Kasumi says, "Knowing Lori is a trouble he will welcome."
Yeah.
And he goes, "There's a duchy." Oh, you see, I forgot. I remember there's one more. There's a duchy now in need of a duke, and he does seem competent, young man. And Colgan said, "Enough. Haven't you had your fill of pomp? You go marrying the poor lad off to the king's sister. Gods, they just met today."
Yeah.
Oh, and Guy de Bastira is labeled an outlaw, kind of
Yes.
exiled.
Yeah, he's
he
kind
was,
of banished. Yeah.
Yeah, and the fun thing is, they had that major antagonist off screen for the whole fucking book.
Mhm.
Pretty
We
much,
never,
yeah. You never
yeah,
get to see him.
yeah, which I thought was cool.
But you
Yeah.
hear about him all the time, or you did for a little bit in a couple chapters. So, yeah.
Yeah. And because he was made an outcast, yeah, that made the duchy absent. So Lori is going to get that eventually.
Yeah,
Not a spoiler there because they wouldn't have brought it up otherwise. And also another throwaway line about William and Fantas being besties. So everyone is like just having a happy ending. And then finally someone says, this is Steve's moment. "Where's Amos? Where's that pirate?" And then Martin's like, he said about arranging for a ship. I thought he was making light, but I haven't seen him since the coronation." He's like, "The Arutha, the gods weep." And they're like, "Go and fetch him." And Martin's like, "I'll ride with you." So they go riding off. And let's see, what does it say? They got there just in time to see Amos taking off with the king's ship. And he like locked up all the people that were guarding the ship, and they're all in that warehouse. They're a little bruised, but they're still alive. And then after Ruth is yelling at him like, "Come back, come back, that's the king's ship," he says, "I thought the Royal Swallow is a grand name. Tell your brother I'll return it someday." And then Martin started laughing, and I would have killed him. But then Arutha goes, "You pirate, I'll have him give it to you." And with a deep cry of despair, Amos said, "Ah, Arutha, you take all the fun out of life." And that's how it ends.
and this is like a day after he was pardoned.
I know.
Yeah.
And also, something that struck me, this is on the East Coast, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, the book starts on the West Coast. Chapter 1. Pug is on the West Coast, by the ocean. So, the final chapter and the first chapter all start next to the ocean.
Good point. Yeah. Oh, Jacob, I thank you, Jacob, for bringing this up because I love this as well. That William wants to grow up to be a dwarf. I think that's awesome. It's like, these
Yeah.
dwarves are great. I want to be a dwarf when I grow up.
That's
because
all-
it was
that's
like-
paradoxical.
Well, kind of, right? Well, I mean, you never know. Thomas became elf-like, but
Yeah, but grow up and be smaller.
oh yeah, true.
Well, but
I just thought it was funny because he said Pug said he was going to be a great magician, and that happened. Thomas said he was going to be a great warrior when he was a kid, and that happened. So I'd kind of be worried about your son, and I thought that was a cool thing to say. It made me laugh.
Yeah.
And Macros was right that Thomas and the Arutha and company were gonna get a black one.
True.
And that was Pug.
Yeah, you see, we couldn't say it, but Pug is now there. Oh, the master. Oh, gosh, that just kills me. But to answer your question, Steek, if you are like 4 years old, a dwarf is taller than you. I mean, obviously, it's a little kid's dream. Spoiler alert, Rennie.
Yeah,
He
well,
does not
look
grow
at
up.
Look at how awesome they are, though. It's the
Well, that's what I was,
superior race.
that's what I was going to say. I was waiting for you to say they are the superior race. So William is so brilliant. He recognized that. But yeah, Rennie, he does not grow up to be a dwarf. You know, when you're saying they grew up
Nice.
to be this, no. He grows up to be perfection. Perfection, I tell you. He next to Jimmy, he's my favorite character. I mean, they're just this close apart.
Hmm.
I mean, William is awesome, and I love him. That is the best pirate I've ever seen. Oh yeah, from Pirates of the Caribbean. And I'll try to bring up this picture of Fantas now that I can throw away my notes. Whew. So while I get this picture ready, you get to say anything you want from the very beginning to the very end of the book.
Well, to me, it was pretty obvious that Pug was going to be our main protagonist, but not that there's anything wrong with that. I did appreciate seeing his journey. I felt bad for him when he got kidnapped, but I guess that's kind of what had to happen to help his power grow to its full potential. But I still thought it was really cool. But I don't know. I really liked Amos. I thought he was a very relatable character, and I did like that Pug wound up with Katala and all of that, and that he wound up finding his way into greatness because he was struggling so hard with his studies with Colgan. And you just keep feeling like, well, but he has so much potential and he's got so much natural ability. What's going on with this guy? So it's really nice to see him finally coming into his own. But it was also nice seeing the dynamics between other characters as well. I really liked, Thomas's journey because I was a little worried about Thomas for a little bit. I also was kind of interested what went on with the kingdom. I did like Arutha until the last couple chapters, so I'm a little hesitant as far as he goes right now with him.
Just wait until you read the next 2 books. You're gonna love him.
I was gonna say,
okay,
you can forgive him. He was having a bad day.
Yeah, that's fair. And I don't think that the Surani were all evil, but there was a lot of stuff wrong with their culture, in my opinion. I was going to ask you guys, and this was something that was kind of in my mind since the name Surani was TSU. I think that Raymond Feist based a lot of these names and stuff on Japanese culture. Because Tsurani is spelled kind of similar to tsunami. The name Kasumi, the way that it's spelled, is Japanese for mist. His father, oh God, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but his name is spelled similar to a Japanese word for ninja, as well as his brother's name is spelled similar to a word that means bright, clear, and serene. And I feel like these are kind of similar to how these people are. So I thought that was a kind of interesting thing, but I could be maybe spitballing here, but I just thought it was pretty cool. I was like, and he kind of describes their method of fighting in like kind of similar to samurai warriors, how everything was very, they were very into the earth and things like that. Now they didn't have cool swords, but I thought that was pretty cool. Did you guys see any of that or?
I didn't think about it at all, but you're right, because the honor and respect system they have with the Surani is very similar to the Japanese as well.
Right?
The samurai.
Because samurai warriors, like if they felt dishonored, they would commit suicide. Now they do it very grotesquely by, with their own swords. But I thought, that was kind of an interesting thing as well. So,
yeah. And they have that skin color as well.
Yeah, they said they were a bit tanned, and I didn't know how tanned, but still, it was pretty interesting. And I'm like, the more I thought about it, I'm like, what does this remind me of? And I'm like, samurai.
Yeah.
And whenever I started piecing it all together, I'm like, this makes sense. So,
yeah,
I thought that was quite interesting.
I think you're probably spot on.
Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't even think. Yeah, it makes complete sense. Jacob says they were shorter and they wore bright colors like the Japanese. Yeah, because Katala even says that when she was trying to wear these long full skirts. That it was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this book is my three favorite characters. Indeed. Gosh, indeed. Yeah, well said. Ah, well, and see, and that's just what's so awesome is you've got more of these characters.
Oh, also Emperor of Japan,
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, yeah.
And, he
and
was very keen to make peace and he was very wise. And, yeah,
yeah,
good
and it
call.
was um, also it was if they lose their honor, they kill themselves
Yeah.
if
Well,
they
and
have permission.
did you notice that the wizards or the magicians in their culture wore black, and I thought of black belts from karate as well. So yeah, just really had all this stuff connect for me, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. I need to know if I'm the only one that sees this. So
Yeah, well, and that's why if in a perfect world they do a proper adaptation of this, that which we know is not going to happen, but they if they do it right, this series is naturally diverse. They don't need to do any race swapping to fill the weird quotas now that TV shows are making people do. So there's no reason for them to
Oh,
change
they're
anything.
gonna have. There's been talk of gender swaps already.
Well, there you go. But I'm just saying, there's no reason to like that they could adapt it without changing it up because it's
Yeah, but
naturally.
the showrunner is Kiri Hart from the
Well,
Lucasfilm
that's what
Story
I'm
Group.
saying. Yeah, I don't. Well, yeah, I mean, obviously we don't trust them one little bit. But here we go. I'm trying to bring this up. I think I lost one of my maps, but we'll just have to get over that. Let's see. Um.
Also, there's gonna be more worlds
Mhm.
in the books.
Yeah. Ah, indeed. It's interesting, though. The main world, of course, is Midkemia. Yeah, and Jacob is pointing out that the artwork is not particularly from this, but it's about how he imagines Fantas to be. And that's perfectly fine because, that's one of the great things about books that your brain is is what is supplying the image. That's why I think that reading books is so psychologically healthy
yeah,
because uh,
Oh,
your
there's
brain's active.
several reasons for it. They've actually done a test on the entertainment mediums. Um, books, video games, TV and movies, and music. And TV scored the lowest
Hmm.
because you're sitting there passive and you're being fed, just being force fed passively.
Hmm.
While and books scored the highest because you're actively doing it because you're actively reading, sometimes even translating, and as you're reading, you're also visualizing what's going on. You're you have to remember what you've read, so it's your brain's very active, and it's better for your head than
Hmm.
watching a TV show because you're just passive. Video games, depending on the game though, uh, scored. Well, that was in second place because it's a two-way communication. You're constantly reacting to what the game is doing. Especially if you're playing like puzzle games or something. A strategy game or something like that.
That makes sense, especially puzzles. And you have ordered me that before I look at my phone or anything like that, that I go outside and read a chapter from a book or a comic or something. And I obviously can't always do that, but when I have, it has been a lot happier a day. It's just a better way of starting off.
Yeah, because you're starting off the day with a clearer mind.
Hmm.
You know,
Without all the
'Cause
clutter.
Yeah.
I'm putting up some of our old pictures here. I showed the picture that Jacob sent me, how he sees not Pug, Fantas, and then here's one of the other ones. You see the Sorcerer's Isle here. These were just some really good pictures.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would also.
this is the early map before they got the real one.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah, the bigger, wider one, and
the bitter sea, and
yeah, and this is of course Kellowan, and oh yeah, I had a few things that I had put in here to let people see, and I would add to you that music, especially classical music, it also does the same thing for the mind.
yeah,
They have done studies that just listening to it will get a certain effect. But holy crud, nothing can compare to playing it, whether it's on the piano or whether it is in a full orchestra or conduct whole. Until you've conducted an orchestra, you have not lived. If you know how to do it, it is an out of body experience to sit up there with a baton and you just do the downbeat and boom, they play, and you get to control the dynamics, you get to control all of that and craft it, and they are at your complete command. But of course also playing, and studies have also shown that even playing quality music at a very young age, for example, you can take like a piano book one thing that little children that can barely stand up to get to the keys on the piano, but some of those old little folk songs that they play, that is just as complex and well crafted for the 5-year-old mind as playing a Mozart sonata for a grown-up person, and it has the same effect on the brain and on the emotions. Obviously, I'm an advocate for this, and you will see this. I will explain some of it in my Close Encounters video, which finally is happening. It's probably one of the hardest videos I've ever made, and I might just cry if no one wants to watch it. But you know what? I watch it because I had to put so much music theory into it. But yeah, remember this, and remember how this is the picture, Rennie, that I cut because it was such a spoiler, because it was one of my best parts, my favorite pictures of Katala, but in the picture it had William and Pug,
Yeah.
and so showing the reunion, I'm like, this is the worst cover for a book ever. It spoils it right there. Are
Yeah,
they
that's
ever gonna,
right.
yeah, are they ever gonna see each other again? It's like, oh, not only that, they're gonna have a son. Oh yeah, let's see.
oh yeah. There's a little s- well, early spoiler on the Silverthorn cover too.
Yeah.
I guess we could show it if people, because it happens right away.
I don't know. Let's not. But
Because as soon as people pick up the book, you're gonna know.
you're gonna know, because I think it even
It
says
even
it
says so right on the back.
Yeah, because the whole premise of it, what the whole premise of it is. Um, yeah, there's Colgan, not Colgan, Dolgan, and there's Thomas. You use this as your icon frequently. There's
Yes, he
Queen.
does.
Yeah, some of these pictures are better than others, but I did my best. Oh yeah, this is when I like the Dragon Rider. Yeah, I can see William says, Jacob, I can see William riding on his back, holding onto his horse, yeah, and tormenting the poor thing.
Yeah.
but they're best friends for life. They're buddies. It's really adorable. There is the Duke Boric, Martin Longbow. This is from the graphic novel. There's Arutha. Oh, from the Krondor game, I used that image. Gosh, the memories. There is Anita. Oh, you see, yeah. Here's the whole picture. I mean, look at that spoiler right there, and you see
Oh.
Pug in the black robe, for crying out loud. It's like,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
in the second video game, which is an RPG and it's party based, which means you control more than one character. You get to control William and Jimmy
yay!
and a couple of others that haven't been introduced yet.
Yeah, I love Anita. She's an amazing character.
I do have the picture though of the cover of the book if you want to show it.
Fine. Well, I don't know. Rennie, do you mind?
No, that's totally fine.
Okay, fine.
It
Oh,
doesn't
whoops.
spoil anything.
That's my
Well,
roll 20.
I mean, the back of the book wouldn't be a spoiler if we just read the one before it. Would it?
Yeah, I mean, it is for sure, it's the whole premise of the next book. Do you have it in the private chat? Oh, there it is. Let me see. Well, you'd have to look really carefully maybe at this to see it necessarily as a spoiler, but because it could be a lot of things, couldn't it? Here it is. Yeah, whet your appetite. I mean, this is a badass book. But yeah, here is the cover for Silverthorn. Um,
Hmm.
Yeah, it's my only problem is Ruth is not hot enough in this. It's like no, Ruth is hotter.
It looks like Tom Jones.
Yeah, his face.
I was thinking more like Keith Richards, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this is not a good picture of but
Well, basically, the title is the name of a poison.
yeah. And well, don't worry. Let me put it to you that way. It really is an old-fashioned adventure, but the whole poison thing serves as like an hourglass. You've got so much time for it to run out for the whole book. And it's very old-fashioned, very, I don't want to say necessarily Indiana Jones-ish, but a similar kind of concept, that they have to go out on a little quest and they're fighting against time. It's a very different book than the first one. It's almost like a break from all the intensity.
Oh yeah, it's like a few characters go on a quest to find something,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a time limit, and
Yeah,
almost a bit like the second Shadowrun book,
Hmm.
right? When they were looking for the blood fire.
Sort of, but remember, Rennie hates that ending. Rennie, you're gonna like this.
Oh
ending
yeah,
better.
it doesn't have an ending like that whatsoever.
No, it's
It's
very
just
old
the
fashioned.
premise of the quest,
Yeah,
you
very
know,
old fashioned. Yeah, and
and
happy
it has Arutha, Jimmy, Martin, and Lori, and a mercenary guy going on a quest.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So it's a road trip book.
Yeah, does
With,
Locklear show up in this one, Steek?
He's at the beginning.
Okay, but he doesn't. Yeah, and then the third book of the trilogy, the Darkness at Sethanon, that kind of goes back a little bit more to something more
Well,
of the first
yeah,
book.
yeah, a little bit, but also the prologue in Silverthorn has the villain of the next book in it because he's the one who causes whatever happens in this.
Yeah, so it kind of foreshadows. Yeah, but and then you really, really get to see Arutha really show his quality, show his quality, and you get to meet more children and more. Again, friends.
Jimmy gets to shine.
Yeah, Jimmy and more friends, more cousins, and it just they really become your family, and I just love it. And Martin, it's not a spoiler to say that they're all going to meet their spouse. It's ridiculous. Okay, they all meet the loves of their lives and get married and make babies, and they all become friends. So it's good stuff. So when I said at the beginning, Rennie, I'm like, Martin, oh my gosh, Martin, and oh my gosh, Arutha, and I'm just realized, you don't know how perfect these men are and how they're, I couldn't say that they were all really brothers, and what was going to happen and that they were all going to become rulers together. And it's always fun because with their kids, they see them, my parent, my dad, the Duke, my dad, this, and they don't necessarily get it's like how badass their parents are, and it's just really fun as we continue. Hello, Stirk of Iron. Hello, thank you for being here. It's always great to see you. So all right, I'm going to go ahead and stop the screen, and before we go into a grand finale, last call for Magician.
I think it's a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
It's considered a classic, and for a good reason.
Mhm.
It's earned that label. I wouldn't think the other books are classics
No.
because this one really stands out. But a lot of people really enjoy the other books as well. One of my favorites is it's called the King's Buccaneer, which is the eighth book in the main series. That one I could not put down.
Yeah.
That one was damn good. And I can tell you one thing: the ending of the entire series, Feist nails it.
I wouldn't have started if you hadn't told me that, because I would have killed
Yeah,
you if it had turned out. Oh, by the way, didn't I
yeah,
tell you the ending completely sucks?
yeah. Raymond Feist nailed the ending. Robert Jordan and Sanderson nailed the ending for the Wheel of Time. Terry Brooks's ending I thought was a bit wonky for the Shannara series because I thought it had run out of steam a bit, you know.
Hmm.
But it's still a good ending. And Terry Goodkind with the Sword of Truth, he had a perfect ending. So
And
if you read the big names in fantasy, you're getting quality.
yeah. And of course, George R. R. Martin, to be determined. Want to
Yeah,
talk about having the hourglass and a race for time?
Oh,
It's a race
jeez.
before. It's
he
a
has
race
a
for
he
two
has a
books and a heart
huge
attack.
out. He has a huge hourglass.
A huge hourglass, but the hourglass is smaller because he has two books and less time to do it because he is chasing. He's trying to stay ahead of a heart attack, and I have no problem saying that because he was a dick on his blog. So I have no problem saying, dude, you don't talk like that when you're like 300 pounds and in your 70s. You don't have time to fuck around.
He about to find out. No, just kidding. We're the ones that are going to find
Yeah, he's
out from
looking
him
around, he's
fucking
gonna find out.
around.
He cannot, unless here's where George Martin can redeem himself. He makes an announcement. Surprise! I actually was writing both of them together, and you will be having a
Well,
Song of Ice and
technically
Fire.
he is
I, but they're going to
because
be sorry.
he when he did book five, he had written more than book five, so he just had to chop it right there, and yeah, this is the end of the book.
So when did he
So
say that he was writing both of them together? Because
No, no,
isn't
no,
no,
it
no,
on his?
no, no,
well,
no.
no,
Understand?
it's just the way he writes. He just writes until there's enough or more than enough for a book. So just okay, there, this is going to be the book,
Yeah. But
and
what
then
I'm saying is,
he has a few hundred pages left over.
yeah, to answer you, Rennie, um, I'm saying this is how he could redeem himself. That if
Yeah,
Ah,
he
okay.
comes out and says, surprise, because like Steve was saying, because of the way he wrote the other books, he's like, actually, both of them are now ready because they were both happening simultaneously, whatever it is. And A Song of Ice and Fire is coming out, I don't know, January 2024, and the next one, January 2025. That's what I was saying. So I didn't want to start a rumor there, but that's how he can redeem himself. Because frankly, unless he's been doing that, he does not have enough time to finish them.
you know
Period.
what's weird
Absolutely
though?
agree.
The people that are the most upset with George Martin are the people who haven't even read a single book.
Part
It's
of
a
it has,
thing.
well, part of that has to do with the Game of Thrones TV show, and well, people like to jump on the outrage train.
That's true.
On the other hand, I think that people, I mean, objectively speaking, you can be kind of pissed off because after the Game of Thrones ending ended so badly, that I think that it is not unreasonable for people to be mad that he hasn't finished them because people now want a different ending. And I am one of those, Steve, from a certain point of view, because I started seriously reading them when he came out and said the next book was coming out in July of 2020. So I was like, okay, here I go. I'm going to read them. I got to Clash of Kings, and he's like, well, I guess I feel sorry for people that thought I was going to do that. And I'm like, I am not going to read one more book until he announces the release of the next one. So I have not read all the books, and I'm outraged because, first of all, I believed you. So that's why I started, because I'm like, I'm not going to start something that's not done. You
If
lied.
you
You lied.
for people who want something like Game of Thrones or whatever,
Mhm.
the Wheel of Time is right there.
Oh, I trust me. I'm
Yeah.
giving my time and my energy to Wheel of Time, and after I finish the Feist, I'm going to do Wheel of Time, and then I'm going to do Witcher. I don't know which order. I might do Witcher first because it's easier.
Oh yeah, it's way quicker, and you also have Dragonlance and Drizzt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I might want to get into Wheel of Time because
The Wheel of Time is kind of, you can't take long breaks because
yeah,
it's many characters in there.
yeah,
And,
and
you know,
yeah, and I got into that because of here. I'm just going to put. I think we're doing a free fall by at this point. The when I was doing the Robert Jordan biography and then the Brandon Sanderson, that really whet my appetite. And I got into not a free fall, because I started with Robert Jordan, I said Robert E. Howard. And because I had read the Robert Jordan Conan, so I'm like, oh, I'll do Conan. Of course, you can't talk about Robert Jordan without Wheel of Time, because that is his magnus opus. So that led to Sanderson, because Sanderson had. So I definitely have an appreciation for it, and I have an appreciation for Jordan's attitude toward his fans. Because in the same post, when he announced that he was dying, he said, "And I want to address all of you are concerned. I promise you, I'm going to finish this and all that." And then, of course, when it became clear that he was not going to live as long as he thought he might. He thought originally he had 4 years. It turned out he had a year. He allowed and made possible someone to complete it. He didn't say, screw you fans, I'm just going to die and you don't need an ending. You're not owed an ending. He, to the end, made sure that his fans were taken care of. So mad respect to him. And
yeah, and if you watch interviews with Robert Jordan, you know,
mhm,
it's crystal clear that the guy was just a damn nice guy.
mhm, yeah,
Are you gonna do a bio of Terry Brooks?
that is the plan. My next bio, I wanted to do a chick, so or rather Sarah Anderson, I think was the one, because
Douglas,
sorry,
Sarah Douglas.
Sarah Douglas, yeah, and I think that was an author that Lady Gravemaster likes or something, and she just something about her story captivated me. So I am going to continue with those. It's a little tricky though, because biographies aren't as easy as it looks. Because when I do them properly, I have to really double check and source my material, because just because something is on the internet doesn't mean it's true. And you also need to get to the heart of like what this person's work is all about, or it has to have a bit of a theme. But not only does it have to have a theme, it has to be an authentic theme. It can't just be something I pull out of my butt. It has to be something that goes along with them. So Robert Jordan was a lot easier. Sorry, Robert E. Howard, because I already knew so much about him. And a great deal of the research I did in that video was my personal research that I gathered when I went to visit his home and museum. So I had that source material. So that's why that's a long way of me saying it takes a while for me to do biographies of people that I don't necessarily have a great deal of pre-research done on it. Um,
Another another one that's kind of interesting is David Gemmell, who has an award named after him, the David Gemmell Award. I think it's for best fantasy newcomers or something, but
mm,
highly prestigious award. But he was, I think he had cancer,
mhm,
and he was writing a book while he was battling the cancer. It
Mm.
was about a mercenaries or something defending a fort against a pile of enemies. And and he left. Well, he basically based the side characters on his friends that were helping him out and you know backing him up, and he left the ending open to see if he got cured of cancer or not. Because if he didn't get cured, the fort would fall in the book, and the
Hmm.
main characters would lose. And if he beat cancer, he'd have a happy ending. And he beat cancer, and he had a happy ending, and the book became a very popular, and he just kept writing. And 30 years later or something, he passed away from a heart attack while writing a
Hmm.
book. He was dead in front of the computer when they found him.
That would be a fascinating thing for me to write. Yeah, I mean, what a
Yeah,
way to
so that,
go.
what a way for a writer to go.
Yeah, no, it's right. Jacob Ironside says my next book to read is The Shadow Rising by Robert Jordan.
That's book 4,
Ah,
The Wheel
there
of
we go.
Time. Damn good book. All of them are damn good.
Hmm. Yeah,
It's probably my favorite series. I think I like The Wheel of Time more than I like Tolkien.
yeah.
Hmm.
Well, it's hard to compare the two because for just 200 million reasons.
Oh
Will
yeah,
yeah, Will of Time is like a 14 if you count the prequel, 15 epic series, and the actual books content that Tolkien wrote, while they're brilliant, they're not high in volume,
yeah. I
relatively
think if you
speaking.
combine Wheel of Time book 1 and 2, you have the length of the Lord of the Rings. That
Yeah,
includes the appendices too.
yeah. So, it's
I think
yeah,
the final book is longer than the Lord of the Rings.
it's very
Hmm.
possible.
It has a chapter that's 250 pages.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah, because it's the final battle thing. It's one chapter.
Yeah.
Sanderson didn't piece it up. It's just
Oh fuck.
it was nuts, and holy shit, was it worth it?
Well, and again, mad respect to him for allowing someone to finish it, and his wife obviously chose the right person. In
Well,
my humble opinion.
Robert Jordan was a huge reason while Sanderson became a writer.
Hmm.
He was the biggest inspiration, I believe.
Yes. And you'll find a teaser alert in my biography that Sanderson was a missionary. He's a Mormon. He still is a Mormon, which is why he gets flack because people hate religious people. Um, but he did the thing like where you got to go off and do missionary work. And when he got
At
back,
a brothel.
wait, where
Oh,
did
sorry.
where did brothel?
Because you
Oh,
said missionary.
oh, for crying out loud. Well, I do hear Mormons are kind of conservative as far as that's concerned as well, but that's neither here nor there what you do in the privacy of your bedroom. No, yeah, so when he got back from the missionary work, that was when he first started reading The Wheel of Time, and then that was when he changed around the time he changed his major from like business or something to literature. So, a little bit of
And
fun.
I think his Mistborn trilogy is getting a TV series, or maybe it's going to be TV movies.
Uh-oh.
Um, Amazon, I think. However, I think Sanderson is involved as a producer or something, so he has a lot of say in it. And Sanderson warned people about the Wheel of Time. He
Yeah.
did.
I forget what did he say? He said it's not what you expect or something.
Yeah, and it's going to be controversial. And basically, they just had him in as a poster boy and said, yeah, we consulted Sanderson. And like, no, you guys just had him in there so you could say that you consulted him.
Yeah. And sometimes they don't even have to consult. I keep telling people, or rather, you used to tell people that George Lucas shows up in the credits for like The Mandalorian. Obviously, he has absolutely nothing to do with it, but because it is using his work, his IP, he has to be credited. So that's something else. Sometimes people are like, well, if they don't like it, why won't they tell them to take him off the credit? It's like that's not the way it works. You don't have a choice. It's because it's a legal copyright thing that you have to give credit to the writer. You just can't uh, say that, but that's good stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna get around to that. But my first goal is to finish the Feist. I'm on Exile's Return, which is the third book of the Conclave of Shadows. I'm not sure how far into the trilogy I am. I mean, it's just so many of them.
Oh,
These books.
that's the last book in that trilogy.
Well, yes, I just mean from like the beginning, like how many books in I actually am.
Oh, hang on. One.
No.
Um,
Ask and ye shall receive. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. um,
you read 16 books,
oh,
That's
16.
pretty
Oh,
good.
yeah, so I got 10 more.
or rather 15 and a novella.
Mm. So that I've
So
done that in about a year.
when
Not shabby.
when you're done with this one, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 left.
Okay, that's doable. I plan to finish them definitely by the end of the year.
Yeah, and you're going to have more time now because we're not reading a book for this stream as well.
That is correct. Yeah, and this one's been a bit tricky, or rather, continuing with the Exile's Return with the Chaos. The Conclave of Shadows, because I am doing these, and I kind of had to go backwards. It's like I'm like where Pug and Thomas and all these characters are. It's like 100 years on from where they are here in Magician. So it's just kind of wild to go back. It was fun, but yeah, I'm ready to keep moving forward. Alrighty, well, I'm going to open up the floor to Rennie a little bit because this is our final book stream. If there's anything you'd like to say, of course, Teresa is the most excellent and perfect person who ever lived. I won't say no to that. But, just any thoughts. And I want to throw this out here that this will not be the last you will see of us. There's nothing to say that we won't ever do a book stream again or it's in the Fantasy Tavern series, but it's going to be when we have the time and when we all get together. So it's nothing that's going to be scheduled, but we have plans to do something eventually again.
Maybe when Rennie reads the second book, Silverthorn, we might do one stream about that one.
Yeah, perhaps. Or
Maybe.
something else. Yeah, whatever the hell we want to. Okay,
That's right.
Rennie.
No, I've honestly enjoyed this experience with you guys. It's been almost 2 years, and not only has it been great discussing things that we like or books that we've read and all of that, but it's been great, like just building that camaraderie with both of you. It's also been great interacting with the chat. There's a lot of kind and interactive people here, which is great. So I will miss it, but at the same time, I am excited about being able to have a little bit more free time on my Saturdays, because lately my life has been a little hectic, and I'm sure you guys can understand that as well. So it will be a little bit nice to be able to take that back, but definitely would be open to, doing something later on as we all kind of get our lives together.
We keep trying to get our lives together, and it keeps getting messed up.
But yeah, Teresa, you are right. You're an awesome person, and it has been a complete honor to get to know you so well. And I think you're such a lovely lady. And Stieg, I think you are a lovely lord in Downton Abbey. So it's been a complete fun ride for me anyways. So.
Oh, she said ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got ridden, you got honor.
Well,
wow.
She did get married, if you don't know that fact, so there definitely has been some riding in her life.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I have a bicycle, so, but I digress.
Oh, that's really perverted.
Wait, a bicycle?
Sorry.
Oh, right. Don't make me Google it. I've learned never Google
just
anything.
Like, hello, bicycle, we're going to have sex again. And then the bicycle goes, no, I'm too tired.
Oh,
Steak, she could always ride one of those. What was it called on South Park? I think it was just called It, right? The thing that Mr. Garrison made with the one wheel.
a unit. Oh,
Oh
I don't even.
yeah,
I'll
that was
send it to you, Teresa.
Oh gosh. All right, you've heard it here first. And hello, Tommy. Yeah, it's been good to know the three of y'all. Oh well, thank you. Yeah, that's how we got to know Jacob. He was here. Yeah, Jacob, you were the MVP. Of course, we always love our chat members, but you were here, I think, almost every single Saturday and read the books along with us. And I've had the pleasure of going on your channel for some of your movie reviews. We all kind of got to know each other. It's been a blast. And yeah, good times. And before I move the microphone metaphorically over to Steve, originally and recurring guests on this have been Lady Gravemaster, of course, as well as Lady Toriel. So shout out to them. Life happened, and so they weren't always able to be here. But Lady Gravemaster especially was able to pop in every now and then, and we couldn't have done it without them either. Okay, Steve, say something nice.
Oh yeah, this has been great fun. Uh, Always fun to talk about stuff we actually like
Mm-hmm.
instead of being on streams and talking about, yeah, this is what's wrong with this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
and it's more positive to, you know, uh, talk and talk about and discuss books we like, and maybe even if we don't like them, we can still have a discussion, right?
Yeah.
So it's yeah, thank you so much for hosting them.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have happened without you, and thanks to Rennie and Gravy and Torio for being excellent company and contributor as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Damn right. Oh, and
Aw.
another one here in the chat. Meter Advocate Timon. Yes, you've been a great mod for us and helping out. I'm back. We have had new scout in my family, just as his father and uncle, both proud of him. Yay!
Yay.
Yes. Yeah, that's why I had to leave. It says that is a very good reason. Very good reason. We endorse scouts when they're not insane. Maybe they're not insane in Brazil. So excellent, excellent. It's a really great thing, and I can tell you're very proud. Yeah, the horror. Well, there's nothing, Tommy. I just want to throw this out because Teague himself, even actually, every now and then does that on Jade Shadow. Shout out to Jade Shadow for the Cringe Factory. But I think that doing it all the time, it's just.
Oh yeah, we used to do it weekly, and then we're like, no, this isn't fun. So we're doing it once a month,
Mm-hmm,
and it's almost like therapy. So you get to vent a little,
mm-hmm,
but usually we only do stuff that's that from the media that has been really really cringe, like epically stupid. So we're not sitting there bashing I don't know, the latest Marvel movie or anything like that.
Or Star Wars, or
Oh, Star Wars.
How
we
many
don't
times can you gripe about Kathleen Kennedy before you just
Oh yeah,
have enough?
my Star Wars stuff is in storage now, and guess what? I haven't had a single argument on Twitter since then.
It's amazing, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, stay away from. Yeah, it's a very toxic. I hate that word, but it's true. A very
Yeah.
toxic place right now.
Creates a lot of negativity, at least for me. I just decided I'm going to surround myself with positivity instead, or at least try to.
Oh,
Don't always
yeah.
succeed, but
Tommy in the chat does retro stuff on his channel, toys and all kinds of stuff like that, and I think that's great as well, because that's also talking about stuff you like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
From back in the day, and Tommy shows up toys, and I see in his chat all the time people go, oh yeah, I remember I had that one when I was a kid, got it for my birthday, or something. And I think maybe more of that. And I've noticed when Maura and I do our top 10s, we're usually talking about older movies, and and stuff, and people really chime in on those.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
it's like I said, if all if the road ahead is covered in shit, turn around and walk back the other way.
Hmm.
There's
Yeah.
so much entertainment. I mean, if you're pissed off at what Marvel and DC comics are doing, and it's shit, and yes, it is.
Hmm.
It's beyond bad. But I bet you that you don't have all the old Batman comics that are
Yeah.
great. That there's like, what is it, 6 or 7 decades
Hmm.
of comics that you can start collecting, instead of, you don't have to buy the stuff that's out now simply because it's new.
Darn right.
That's
Yeah.
that's recency addiction. You need to shake that off.
Yeah. Another
So,
form of chronological snobbery.
yeah, so just start collecting the old Spider-Man stuff, if that's what you like, or eBay and thrift stores are there. Well,
Appreciate the
um,
stuff you can find that exists, right?
Hmm.
yeah, just
Yeah.
go back. Just because it's older doesn't mean it's bad. I mean, the older stuff is what made the franchise popular to begin with, so it's obviously not bad.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, well, as I've been telling people that I got on eBay actually an omnibus of the first Wonder Woman comics, and they are awesome. I mean, they're very old fashioned, obviously, because they were written like in 1942, but they are really well plotted, really interesting, and they're just a blast. And they're very short, each one of the comics, so you can just sit and read it over a cup of coffee. It's really nice. So it's been taking me a while to get through them because I read them as a comic each. But do that. Um, the only new thing that I am subjecting myself to is this new Conan series that's starting up in a few weeks, because I have some optimism about it when you look at who is doing it and the company that is. Uh, so I might give
Yeah.
that a
Oh,
go.
holy hell! The old Savage Sword of Conan comics.
Oh yeah, yeah.
If you come across them at thrift stores or whatever, get them.
Hmm.
The,
They're
the artwork alone. I mean, the covers are paintings.
yeah,
You know?
they're gems, and they don't
Yeah.
even have what do you call it? Colors. It just shows you don't need them.
Yeah.
The art style, very old fashioned, very very good stuff. So yeah, because life's too short to sit around and bitch. That's my humble opinion.
Absolutely.
But there's a time and a place. I almost did a stream yesterday and called it Bad News Friday, but I decided that might have been too dark. But it happens. And said I released one of my videos because I've been putting some videos together because I don't know what my live stream schedule can be, about some of my notes on Tom Shippey. And is Tolkien really so great an author? Is he really the author of the century? Tom Shippey's work is amazing. So, yay. Mm. So, in any case, do that. Yeah. I think as far as live streams upcoming tomorrow, we're going to do my Sunday catechism. We're going to do we're doing the seven sacraments. We're going to do confirmation, where I do behave myself, and everyone does too. 'Cause, let's see, and some general ones upcoming. I have stashed some of my self-help. I sometimes, every now and then, I like to give some little tips for people that, life tips, life lessons. Monday night is another pub crawl with Salty Texans. He's going to be on, and I believe it's going to be whiskey recipes and bartending stories and the like. So that should be a lot of fun. And Nina Infinity is scheduled for Thursday. Topic to be determined, and keep case tuned because just dropped my dress. My arms move. What can I say? Drunk 3PO, when we're trying to pencil him in. He obviously has a very busy schedule, and many, many more. Life is being thrown me a curveball a bit, so I'm not entirely sure what my schedule is going to be like later on in the month, but please stay tuned here at Miss Smart Muses. And I am not above begging to say, hey, watch my stuff. I'm keeping above that tidal wave of watch hours. I'm heading up there. I'm coming up on the final 100 to final 300 is what I'm looking at. But the witching hour, when midnight hits, I lose the hours from the day from 2022. So I'm staying above the witching hour. And let's see. What does Meteor Advocate Timon say? He says the thrift stores for books in Brazil are called sebos. Sebo in Portuguese means grease fat. All. It references the oils in the fingers that ages a book sometimes use. Hey, that's clever. Oh, and of course, happy Independence Day. I'm planning, depending on what my life is like, to be on Potato Revan. He's a Irish Waterford man. He's going to do an Independence Day stream with a bunch of us Americans because, America. Everyone's saying goodbye to each other. Thank you. Again, I've already thanked Timon and Jacob and Tommy. Let's see who else was in here today. Salty Texas. We had Mr. Brown. All the gang was here and some new faces. Rennie, where can we find you?
From time to time, I will be on Mr. Brown Alliance, possibly Sundays, and then when we do some movies again, I know that's something that he wants to do, so we'll see. But that's pretty much all I have planned at this time. I may be on with a guy named Dark Hour about movies as well, but that's just kind of hypothetical at the moment. So that's all I've got.
Okay, and Stieg.
All I know for sure is in 3 weeks on Nora's channel for the Cringe Factory. That's it.
Yay! Doesn't that feel good?
Oh yeah, well I do pop on now and then on Tommy's channel or something, but
Oh, nice. Yeah. Tommy's awesome. He's sweet.
Yeah, Tommy's good people.
He is.
He sold me an Optimus Prime. And,
oh my gosh.
And I won a He-Man figure on his channel as a contest thing.
Oh, that's cool.
And he gave me a Skeletor as well to go with it. So.
Oh, you suck.
She's jelly.
That's right.
Yeah, and of course I continue to mail things across the ocean. I should get like frequent postage or something. It's all good fun.
You get it because I give you the postage.
Oh, I know, but what I'm saying is like points from the post office. But then again, it's the U.S. government, so like they're gonna ever give you a discount for anything. Yeah, but oh, speaking of which, stay tuned. We honestly don't know when we're going to be able to schedule this, but we want to have an extravaganza of me, Mara, and Stieg telling everything D&D and sharing how to play it, stories from things about DMing, and of course stories from our wild and wacky sessions.
What she really means is she and Mara's going to pick on me.
Oh, so self-pitying. Woe is you. You can handle it.
You'll be all right.
Yeah, I actually defend you every now and then.
Oh, yeah. And Mara's been threatening to send me a cunt candle. You know, the Paltrow?
The Gwyneth Paltrow ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She's trying to get my address.
Well, she tried. Well, remember you got one, remember?
Yeah, but that was something you had knitted.
Crocheted.
Yeah. Oh, well. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, it was a fake one. It was a gag.
Yeah, she wants to send me a real one.
Oh, I know she can try. But you can't even. I don't think you can send candles. But yeah, I sent a fake.
Well, you can send candles because I bet I can order the stuff.
You might be able to get it from a company, but like a person may not be able to mail it to you. Like they're really picky about what you can send.
That would have been glorious. Mara buying a cunt candle, and then she can't send it, so she's stuck with it herself.
It's like, well, might as well put it to use.
Yeah.
Hey, if,
That would be
if she were
awful,
to do
though.
that on a live stream, that would get views. Okay, you heard it here first, Mara. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, she
Reaction
would
vid
like
to Gwyneth Paltrow candle.
no, she would die. They'd
God.
find her like dead from
Poor
muffocation.
thing.
Oh, really, Steve? Really?
Yeah, and then the cops will show up and like, if she only had enough air, she could have blown out the candle, but alas, I don't know.
Oh yeah, well yeah, you heard it here first. All right, yeah, and for those of you, this is our end of our random, the longest outro ever for a stream. But no, this has been a blast. This has been fun, and this is not the end. This is just the end of Saturday morning ones because we're not that we're lazy, but sometimes you just want to sleep in. Well, have a great day, everyone. Have a great day, and be certain.
Be certain to flip it out if you're at Helm's Deep.
When in doubt, take it out.